Pat favors that, I see that all the time.
Green.
How do we say the next one?
Zirconi.
Scituate. On August 20th, 2000, is there somebody here for Scituate? How about that? On August 20th, 2014, during the 6:15 meeting at the Town Hall, the Scituate Conservation Commission will act on the request of Fred and Ann Zirconi for a determination of applicability of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and the Scituate Wetlands Bylaws to extend an existing deck on property located at 15 Priscilla Ave. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend.
Okay, hi, my name's Scott Valco, I'm the contractor, and stepping in for Fred and Ann Zirconi. And just a request to install 5 piers for an extension of a deck, of an existing deck, yep.
Penny?
Are you going towards the water or towards,
No, towards the street.
towards the street? So it's
Oh,
on the front of this picture? See, we have the assessment.
Actually, the 2 are going towards the ocean,
Yes,
yep. And the other 3 are not.
okay.
So where the stairway is the 2 pilings that are toward the ocean side. And then the deck footings are gonna be toward the street.
Okay.
What kind of pilings are they?
They're gonna be 10-inch sonotubes.
Scott, can you talk about what is the existing ground where the sonotubes are gonna go in? It's like,
Yeah, it's gravel on top, packed, and below that is I believe is clay and some sand, but it's not all sand. Yeah, it's not like the beach.
We have an existing deck there.
Yes.
We are expanding the deck. Are we expanding the deck towards the water?
toward the street, so straight off the front of the house toward the street, but then there's a stairway on the water side that's gonna need footings. But it's,
Okay,
it's
so
it's a narrow.
It's only the footings that will be
impact.
closer to the water. Okay. How much are we adding to the deck?
5 feet.
And that wraps up my questions.
Lisa?
That answered my question. Thanks, Bill.
Pat?
Yep, it's as described, there's no vegetation that has to be removed to put the deck in, and it looks like it can be put in without impact to a resource area.
Okay. Oh, anybody in the audience for this?
I make a motion for -3.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
a lot for coming in.
Thank you.
Yes.
I guess we can go right into
Yeah,
Harris, right?
Yep.
Okay, so Allen/Harris, 126 West Parish Road, addition, new building, site improvements. On August 20th, 2014, at 6:45 PM, the Scituate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Chapter 131, Section 40 of the Massachusetts General Laws and Section 30700 Town of Scituate Code of Bylaws regarding the application of Ryan Allen LLC, CO Sean Harris for site improvements and addition and new building on property located at 126 First Parish Road. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend.
Before we start this, Pat, I have filled out a disclosure of conflict of interest. My mother is listed as an abutter. I don't think that that presents a problem for me, but I think that the applicant should be aware that this is, this is what the scenario is, and I will kind of take their lead as to whether they feel comfortable with it or not.
Yeah, I just had one thought on that, is that if we know that there's a possible conflict, we'd have time to go to the Ethics Commission and ask them, present your situation, so
Yeah.
that they can make a ruling on it. And if we haven't done that yet, it may be safer if you don't participate.
Okay.
Well, I think, Pat, I tried to check up on a couple of things. I didn't deal with this specifically. And I said to Bill, if the Harrises, it's really their call, in my mind, you know, that if they feel that they're concerned, if Bill thinks he can deal with it without issue, if they're here tonight and if they are comfortable with him ruling on it, if they're not, then they could ask that he not. The other piece that I think I sent it to Carol, and I believe she distributed it, and I had checked with the Ethics Commission on a prior issue, because Mr. Harris is one of the partners in this project, and he's a member of the Board of Selectmen, and he's the appointing authority for our commission. I sent out a disclosure form to everybody. I have one here. And it basically asks you to acknowledge that, to look at it, to make sure that you can continue to deal with this project impartially, and move forward. If anybody feels that they can't, or that they have a conflict that they shouldn't deal with it, then they should say so. But the Ethics Commission is fine with that. They realize in small towns that that's
Right. I
gonna
agree
happen.
with your second situation. With Bill's situation, though, although Mr. Harris may not have a problem with it, abutters might have the opposite view of that, because, you know, he's in favor of a project and his mother's involved and has the property next door, could that be an issue for him? You know, both
So
parties
it
have
may
to.
provide a grounds for appeal or something like that?
Yeah,
Okay,
I don't
so-
know, I don't know enough about it. Usually, we try to get it into the Ethics Commission ahead of time for a
Mhm.
ruling, but I don't know how that would work. I mean, I know if Mr. Harris had a problem with it, he would have to recuse, but if he is okay with it and somebody else might have an issue with it, I don't know how. that
Okay,
works.
so
Does
does
she also have a P&S with them to sell them the property if this goes?
That's the type of
I
thing you
don't
have
know
to.
if
yeah.
any monetary agreement, no. So if we were to kind of respect your counsel on that, do I stay and not vote or just
Go out to your car.
get
You
out?
know,
Okay,
I think it's fine.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. All right.
Just cover
And
your,
if we get a
cover your
ruling on
ears.
that and we continue on, then we can go from there. And you've been fully informed as to what happens at the meeting.
Okay, so,
Oh, can you just sit
Stay or go?
there and keep your mouth?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
you can
Oh, yeah,
sit.
yeah.
go,
Yeah.
get away, go.
Sean wants to
Don't pass
say
go.
something.
Don't collect $200.
Sure.
I just wanted to, while we're on that subject, Frank, every time we're on the board, it's usually between the applicant and the person on the commission or board or committee to decide. I don't have a problem if Bill sits up there at all, and I think I'm speaking for my brother and my dad. And I'm sitting back here, if it's similar to the zoning board of appeals, I checked with town council when we went before the ZBA. I didn't say a word.
Right.
That's what I'll do tonight, just to err on the side of
Yep.
caution. And
That's
just
it.
sit here,
Pretty much
and
same
if
thing.
nobody can answer a question, I'll be here to answer, you know.
Okay. Sounds good. I think it's just best to just put that stuff right out there and then we're good to go. You're up.
All right, well set. For the record, my name is Barbara Cassell, and I represent the applicants. As you know, this is the workyard of the Harris Group. It's actually owned by Brian Allen LLC, is the actual property owner. The Harrises have several uses going on down there, maintaining their oil vehicles. There's some storage of other large vehicles, some maintenance of vehicles. It's all by zoning approved, it's all okay by zoning, and they have class 1, 2, and 3 licenses to do their different businesses. So it's all above board, it's all permitted. What they would like to do is, for the use within their building, within their business, is build a building that will help them to get their vehicles out of the elements and they can maintain them under a roof. That's the whole purpose of what they're doing, is building a building to facilitate what they're doing there now. They're not expanding their uses in any way. They're proposing a building over here as far away from the wetlands as they can get, where they will maintain their vehicles. And they're also proposing a small addition to an existing building just for storage. I did the stormwater, I reviewed the stormwater for the applicant, and because it's high groundwater and because they're in a flood zone, I really can't lift the site up and put catch basins and a detention basin or anything else on the property. Instead, we're proposing to take out pavement areas so that there'll be no increase in flow from the site. So if you add some pavement and you take some out, there's no change in the flow from the site. Because we're doing it that way, and again, we need to do it that way, we are a redevelopment project. We are not increasing the flow from the site, we're not increasing the impervious. So Mass DEP asks that you folks look at the project and see if we are improving the situation, improving the quality of water going to the resources. So what I would say to you is we definitely are, by virtue of the fact that we're going to be maintaining vehicles under a roof. So if there's any spillage while they're changing oil, if anything happens to these vehicles, it's not going to fall on the ground and get washed into the wetland resources by rain. It will just be cleaned up within the building. It's a very viable method of improving stormwater runoff, is putting vehicles inside a roof. So we walked out on the site the other day. I was able to go out with Penny and Pat. We talked about trying to improve the stormwater even further, if possible. Unfortunately, the site is all a work area. You know, there's a chain link fence there. We really don't have the opportunity to plant grass or improve the distance from the work yard to the resources. It's just configured with all kinds of odd buildings and such. They need the maneuvering room. They can't really give up any property, or else they'd be getting themselves in a bit of a bind as far as turning vehicles and storing vehicles. So respectfully, we are asking that you consider the building and the improvement of getting vehicles within it to be the improvement. Anything else, Al?
No, that's it. Here's the 100. So this is the 50. That's 52, so that dotted line. But all of this is existing.
Okay.
This used to be, Penny, why don't you go ahead?
Okay, I hear what you're saying, Barbara. I know we did discuss, coming back maybe 10 feet. So, I was also, after I left, I had this little bit of a brainstorm maybe. I was wondering, because I would like to see a little more mitigation, and I understand it's a work yard, it's been there forever, it's been there since I was a child here, back in the 50s. So I don't have a problem with any of that, but one thing that I would like to propose as a possible mitigation is in the late fall or in the winter, when the vegetation behind the fence has gone down, that a crew be sent out from the fence down to the brook and clean if there's any containers out there, if there's any tires out there, without disturbing or destroying the area. That, to do a sweep when the vegetation is dormant, so to say. That I thought that might be very helpful to clean up that area back there, because I'm sure at different points in time, possibly back in the 50s when it was just a junkyard, that there's some stuff out there that it might be nice to clean up back there. And so that was one thought that I had. And I don't know if anybody else has some other thoughts towards mitigation.
And I don't know what my client thinks of that either.
I don't either, so it's something just to throw out. That's what the hearing's for.
Right.
Richard?
I'm sorry, I have not had the chance to go out to the site. I will get there. I guess the only question I would have, no, actually, I don't have any right now. I may have some.
Lisa?
I too haven't gone to the site, and I think I'd like to. and so I don't have any questions at this time.
Pat, do you wanna,
Well, I was just gonna say that, you know, it's all on the riverfront, but it's a previously degraded site, which changes things. You don't get the same type of mitigation sometimes when it's degraded. As Bob was saying, you're trying to improve the conditions on the site for both stormwater and wetland protection. There's an excellent project description and wetland delineation by Brad Holmes, and it's, you know, appears to be accurate with the boundaries and everything. And, you know, it's up to the commission to just decide what kind of mitigation you'd like in this kind of a project. If space wasn't an issue, I would think we'd be pulling things back from the river and trying to, you know, distance, get a graded distance. Space is an issue, maybe you want some other type of cleansing type of project or soil removal of a bad area or something. There's a lot of stuff out there that, you know, the property owner inherited this site. It was it was not done by the property owner, but it's our duty to try to clean it up.
You know, when you say
Okay.
there's stuff out there, Pat.
Well, there's a lot of
what's
old
specific?
equipment, and just moving that stuff sometimes can, you know, unearth things that are out there, you know, but there are other things that could start leaking if they're left there, so you may wanna say, gee, there's an old piece of leaking equipment, you may wanna get that out of there, but it's really up to the commission. There's no hard set rule how you go about it.
So this stuff that just doesn't work, it's just been there?
I guess, I don't know if it's to be repaired in the future or what, but.
well, I think, well, I mean, actually, go ahead. Is there anything?
Yeah, no, I mean, and the wetlands are right up to the fence. It's like, you know, it's really encroaching toward the property, and it's, they really don't have a buffer. So if there was any kind of buffer that could be created, that'd be great.
Can I maybe give you guys a little bit of history and then a couple of notes? Sure.
Picture of the property.
Just for the record, check your name and,
Chuck Harris.
yeah, this would be really helpful.
Oh, wow.
You can see all the cars.
We'll turn this around in a second, but for Lisa and Richard, Penny probably got her first car there.
Yes. My parents bought cars
So
there.
there's
But it's not
a
a conflict.
Yeah.
Gulf station here now. This is First Parish Road. This
Okay.
is the post office, the main Scituate post office. And this, the dealership building, there's a building here, so,
the junkyard with the crane.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, the old crane here,
Yeah.
and where they disassembled cars or broke them down. So if you look at, so here, this building is this building.
Right.
This
Okay.
one is this one. This building is here. So the proposed new building is going right in here,
Okay.
and then they're proposing an addition to this building. So the brook, you can see the brook out here. This is the Scituate Brook. The harbor is over here, and that sort of runs behind here. So this, you know, it gets fairly close to the brook at this stage.
So these trees would go.
I don't even know if they're still there, to be honest with you. Then that picture shows some large trees, but I don't think any of those are
They're
there.
gone, yeah.
They're gone?
There's some smaller trees, but
So,
the big
right
trees.
here where there's vehicles, is there anything past that point now, or is everything pretty much?
Yeah.
That's
Same
it. You
place.
see the fence?
Okay,
So, and that fence is
Right.
this fence.
okay.
There are not cars there now, though, Lisa. There's trucks there, there's equipment there. But it's mostly, this is back when it was, the car dealership
Right.
was
Okay.
using it, okay? Now the car dealership isn't there, but it's all different types of vehicles, you know, whether it's an oil.
Well, this
truck,
is, like, this shop is an auto body shop,
Yeah.
so I'm assuming that some of the cars out here are parts for that body shop. And
Okay.
the, as he's pointed out, they have oil business, so there's some oil trucks, there's dump trucks and loaders, and then I think, and then Chuck does fishing and things, so there might be a couple of fishing boats out here. But it's been a business for a very long time. Not that that's our purview, but all of this was altered a long time ago. And so now, a lot of the equipment repairs gets done in the open out here. And as my discussion's been with them, that now that they're gonna try to do those repairs.
Inside.
So they're no longer gonna do repairs on the outside, everything's gonna be done
Well,
under
I can't,
building?
I mean, that's,
Oh,
I think the intent is as much as possible,
Yeah.
not to say that they wouldn't do outdoor repairs as well.
the other good
That's
part is
perfect.
if there's a
They
building
prefer to
there.
be inside
If
if
the
they
building there,
could.
there's less space to put more vehicles.
With the electric fences, it's nope, nope.
Does anybody
stands
else
out.
wanna, does anybody, it's just kinda curious, it's pretty neat.
It is a neat picture.
What year is that truck?
I don't really know. I was looking at the cars, trying to figure it out. I think it's, yeah.
I'd say the 60s, because the post office wasn't there when,
Yeah,
in the 50s.
but yeah, no, it's pretty detailed. Quite a few cars.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's neat.
So Pat and I have discussed this a little. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to comment? Steve?
Yeah, if I could, Steve Bjorkman, 15 Captain Daniel Litchfield Lane. You guys have had applications come in front of you, like for DPW, working down the DPW yard on Captain Pierce Road, where they were trying to put some buildings in above parking areas to bring things inside, which is exactly what these guys are looking to do here. And the only thing I want to say is, a friend of mine actually rents the body shop down there, and he would love to be able to have a little bit more space for that. And he was actually displaced originally by the train when they put the T-station in over at Franny Litchfield's place. So in the town of Scituate, commercial properties like this are very, very rare. And I would just caution you that as you look at mitigation, they're right, they probably won't be able to turn the trucks around if you take the space away from them. And there's very, very little commercial space available for anybody who wants to have business in the town of Scituate. So I think the proposal is a good one. I know Barbara did a good job on the stormwater on this, but it's really not a large site, and I'd hate to see you constrict it more. I think it's a good proposal.
Thank you. Would there anybody else in the audience want to speak to this? Discussion that Pat and I had, because we are concerned about the runoff, Barbara, and it's too bad Brad couldn't be here tonight, because the concern is the Scituate Brook and the wetlands and the resource area around that. And to hopefully eliminate the possibility that more contaminants could head towards that brook. I've had several people express interest in, at some point, trying to do things to clean up the brooks more. You know, when we take out, there's another project in town where we're gonna remove a dam in North Scituate, and when we do that, we're hopes to start to get Andromeda's fish to move back up into Cohasset and more spawning, which is really supported by the Gulf of Maine initiative, because these fish are essentially feeder fish for fish that are being depleted. So in a broader sense, anything that we can do to keep the Scituate Brook clean, that might eventually help with some of that. I mean, maybe I'm a little far afield, but would be a positive thing to do. I've also talked to some people that are trying to rally a little bit and see whether they can get support to clean up Scituate Brook, that people might actually be able to fish for that, in that again. So we have some interest in that, and our concern would be that we do anything we can to keep pollutants from going awry. Question I had for you, and I mentioned it to Pat, it seems like there's some distance between the fence and the edge of the wetlands that Brad flagged, maybe 20 feet. Am I right?
To the edge of the brook, not to the edge of the wetlands.
Yeah.
The wetlands are right at the fence.
Yeah, they're right at the fence
Okay.
line.
Is there any way, like with the pitch of this, that you can do any grading to get water flow like into a rain garden or some other? I know you can't get any subsurface filtration, but is there any way that with a minimal amount of grading or disturbance, because the last thing we want to do is really create more problems. I'd actually be a little bit concerned, you know, you're talking about removing some asphalt, and I know that we want to have water penetrate that, but we do have the concern that some of that water might have some contamination. So is there any way that it seemed to me, just in walking around, the natural grade sort of is towards this, I'd say this northeast corner.
Yes, well, mostly north. Mostly
Yeah.
north, yeah.
So, would there be any way to have some sort of collector area, rain, would any of that be beneficial to that? I don't know.
Are we talking about beyond the fence?
No, right on the, like,
Inside
right
the
in that
fence.
corner, right where it says the FEMA flood zone area, or right at the fence.
That actually doesn't have a very large watershed per se. It kind of just, it's a real sheet flow situation going down that way. If you look at 23, 22,
And I guess when I stood out there and looked at it, it looked like it actually might move a little bit in that direction. And just wondering if there's any way to create,
I'd have to ask the client. I just really don't think much water would go there, frankly. Like this goes like this. It's just really coming off the back.
yeah. I mean, if some sort of asphalt berm was at the fence, again, I shouldn't be engineering this thing.
Right.
But I'm just wondering if it's really the best idea to remove that asphalt, or to have like an asphalt berm, Cape Cod berm or something right at the fence, and have an area, where
Plugged it
that,
on the site?
yeah, small, I mean, I don't know.
A very limited earthen berm, we could consider right along the fence line. I wouldn't want to make it too big because we are in the floodplain,
Right,
and I'm really not supposed to be bringing material into the site.
right,
But just if we're looking to slow the water down before it gets to the,
right, and we don't wanna flood the property, cause if we're
Right.
raising water on it, that would be a problem as well. I don't know if water backs up into that property when, on a real bad storm event. Have you ever seen that, Bob?
The heavy rain we had a week or so ago, and it come down in torrents, there was puddles all over the place. You know, it was probably that deep, and it just went down to the ground. It didn't run off, it just, because it wasn't, the puddles went all the way down back, they were in the middle, all scattered around, and it just drained through the, whatever's there.
Okay.
Right.
Well, back then, they had the ability to get gravel from Boston sand, so it's probably better than
Yeah.
the stuff that, okay.
so I mean, I could speak to the property owners about, again, a very low berm here along the fence line.
I don't, and I'm not supposed, we shouldn't be designing this. I mean, we
Right.
want to deal with the issues, and personally, I think that having stuff inside the building and all of that is good. I'm just saying, if there was a possibility to do a little bit of protection for the brook, or as Penny pointed out, some cleanup or something like that.
Cleanup sounds reasonable. Would you say the cleanup is?
Last winter and the winter before and everything, you could see all through there. I've never seen anything in there, any kind of rubbish or anything.
No
Between
tires or anything?
No,
Really?
between the fence and the brook, I haven't seen anything. Because the fence has been there for a long time,
Yeah.
and this stuff hasn't been, there's no way to get over there. There was a couple gates that are closed up, there's no way to get in there. And I haven't even seen any, papers or anything. Nothing.
Blown over there?
No, I haven't seen anything.
Because we didn't walk back there, but that
No, you
was
could
just
see
a
through
thought
the-
to me that there
Yeah,
would be.
in spaces
you
you
know.
can see now, but in the wintertime, when there's no leaves there.
Yeah, right.
There's nothing there that I've seen.
Okay. Yeah.
I just had an engineering question for Barbara. Usually we're glad to give up pavement for gravel, and that's if you have something for it to infiltrate to, but the groundwater that high and the brook right there. I mean, from an engineering standpoint, what would you recommend for capturing some of this? We really don't want it to rush through the gravel and get into the groundwater, into the brook. And we don't want it to shoot across the pavement and enter into the wetland. So if there is something that you can think of that will get at what we're trying to get, a little bit of filtering before the water gets to the brook and cleaning the site a bit, you know?
You summed it up perfectly, Pat. It's 6 of one, half dozen of the other. If it was a slower draining material, then maybe you'd want that to be natural, but if it's a paved material, then, I mean, if it's fast draining, then maybe you'd want pavement, but there's benefits to each and detriments to both as well. I think the berm would be the most, the best compromise that we've talked about so far, in that it would slow it down, but it still would let us use the property that we're using now.
And Frank, you're talking a concrete or asphalt berm?
Well,
I
situated
think
somewhere?
I think it should be earthen.
Earthen.
So that the water will go, but slowly.
Self-filter.
I guess I'm thinking maybe something that's a foot high or 18 inch, something not too high, but, so you're saying it could be like a gravel or something that water could seep through?
That's what I was thinking that you were talking about. I guess I'd like to keep the fence and not have the expense of dealing with that fence.
Right.
And I also don't want to lose any property, so I
Right.
want to put something right up along the fence if possible. And again, we are in a floodplain, so I'm not supposed to take away flood storage either, so.
Well, I guess I was actually thinking that maybe if, again, and we're not supposed to be the engineers in this, but if there was an asphalt berm that ran along the asphalt that you're talking about proposing, rather than remove that asphalt, and then at the base of that, create a small depression, so that maybe there'd be a small loss of the yard there for actually a place for water to.
Oh, I'm sorry, Frank, so you are saying leave the pavement in there, put a berm in?
Yeah.
And then allow
Maybe
sitting area?
down in this bottom corner or
Mhm.
something like that, actually a depressed area.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Um,
And again, I'm not trying to make work
Mhm.
for the applicant, I'm just trying to figure out another way to not have a problem with ground infiltration or anything like that. I understand what you're doing, you're saying, okay, well, we're gonna take and swap out some impervious area,
Right,
which would be typical.
right, right.
I'm just thinking about the use of the property and the equipment that's there and all that sort of thing, and wondering, are we better off keeping the asphalt?
Mhm.
I don't know.
Right. I think it goes back to the first statement that we had, is it's an existing facility, and we're trying to do the best practical improvements.
Right.
So, we're trying to find that. So that's why it's really not even a design issue, it's what's practical, and that's for you folks to determine.
Well, we would typically act on what you
Mhm.
propose, and we would condition something and say whether we want it or we don't want it.
Mhm.
And I'm just looking
Right.
to say, is there a different way to skin this out that might work for everybody? But if it's not gonna make, at the end of the day, if you feel that there's no change in protecting the brook, then.
Right. Okay, I think if we put a little berm with some vegetation on it, I think that would be more beneficial than leaving this pavement on and creating a low point. I think that would eliminate the thought of channelization from the pond, or the maybe pond. Because we do know a lot of water would go there, and then it would probably get some channels over, and that's not what we're looking for either.
Right.
So I think if we keep the flow as it's going, and let it get there slower, and preferably through some vegetation, I think that would be the best.
Wouldn't the vegetation actually be a small filter?
Yeah.
For the water?
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm only talking on the berm, like just
Right.
a little bit
Yeah.
right there.
I guess I think we should be asking the applicant, are they,
Right,
what their
right.
thoughts are on this.
Thank you, that is what we need.
I think a small berm, yeah, a foot or 18 inches across, and like you say, something growing on it so the water doesn't rush right through it, but it'll seep through it, and there'll be clean water coming out the other side.
it wouldn't impact our whole
No,
circulation
no.
within the yard
No,
too badly.
because it doesn't go down there. If you saw it a couple of weeks ago, there was puddles all over the yard, and they didn't go down to the fence,
Okay.
and they're gone. So they just went straight down.
Sounds good. I like that.
All right. Pat? Motion?
So we want to close it?
I think you could close it with this, add that into the orders and get the plan from
That'd
Barbara.
be fantastic.
The plan
Yeah.
and vegetation.
Plan and vegetation. Okay, I make a motion to close with the condition that we will get.
Is there anybody else in the audience that wants to speak to this?
So keep the pavement and not remove the gravel, and not put gravel in. Yeah.
If Barbara feels that that won't impact the infiltration in the ground. In other words, you're gonna have some now impervious surface up here,
Mm-hmm.
but as you pointed out, it really doesn't migrate that way, so you were doing that more as a swat.
I was doing a swap.
Right.
on that for-
So if it doesn't matter, my personal feeling would be I'd rather see the asphalt and stay in that area so that it's less likely for anything to saturate that area.
Very good. We'd be happy to do that. We'd be happy to leave the pavement down there.
Yeah, you're fine.
So I make a motion to close with the condition we get a new plan and that there will be a small berm along the back with plants. Plantings done.
It might be that berm should turn up the side just a little bit, Barbara. Catch. I don't think it needs to go all the way, but it just should turn a little bit up that side.
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, they haven't appealed that decision yet. Who's playing?
I get you, Paul.
Thank you very much, Ron.
All right, Patrick, what's,
Welcome back, Bill.
Yeah, I miss you guys.
Do we want to do those two informal quick,
sure.
if they're here? The pesticide berries.
Is anybody here from Berry's Lane?
She's got the air conditioning thing
Yeah, I emailed Greg and said that we don't have anything new from what we had last time. We just had something from Mills River Commission.
Do I have a motion to turn on the AC?
Please.
Second, Heartily.
right there. Heartily seconded.
Did I get a second?
I'm
I'm melting.
All right. Well, we
Sounds
have the
good.
window open.
Thank you.
All right.
So, yeah, so we had North River Commission give their opinion about, what their regulations are on pesticide. And it's not something that can happen really quick. I mean, it's in our regs. We're looking for advice, but, he wants an answer for his client, but we're not gonna be able to get him one real soon. So, we can put what we'd like to see in there, but then we have to vote on it and make sure it complies with state regs. Because it's just a blanket statement, as you guys know, there's no use anywhere on the property anytime. And that may be more than what we really want. But on the other hand, we don't want to say, use anything as close as you want to a road.
No,
So more work needs to be done.
so that's
Okay.
still open.
Yeah.
They didn't want to just use vinegar or something and call it a
I
day. I guess
don't
that's
think they
weeds,
did.
that's not pesticide.
Yes. That's weeds. The fence on,
Doherty, 114, 118 Edward Foster Road, a fence question? What's that?
yeah,
Right, sir.
Hey, all right.
he'll tell you.
Yeah, we have a existing fence there.
Your name is, sir?
Oh, I'm sorry, Patrick Doherty, 85 Edward Foster Road.
Okay.
It's an existing fence there that was put up about 15, 20 years ago.
The fence though itself is gone, it's just the steel post there.
Basically, I mean, there's some rusty wire attached to it, but essentially it's useless.
Yeah.
So we're just looking to put up replace it with just like the neighbor's fence there, right on 24.
Like a split rail?
Yeah, real. No footing.
Basically same location?
Minor activities?
I don't know, I was thinking because it's in a resource area that it should be an RDA and give, butters a chance to comment on it. And, DEP is gonna wanna see, if it's outside of resource area, they're fine with mine. I feel 1 or 2 posts or, but this is a pretty good length of fence, so.
It's those 2 open areas, Frank,
No, I know.
across from the boatyard.
Yeah.
But it's replacing an existing, so it's not a new fence in a new area.
No, there was
Right.
a.
It's actually a more
wire fence
natural
there
fence.
at
That's
some
what he's
point in
saying.
time. Yeah.
Right.
Well, I remember when it used to
I mean,
be a
there's a
real.
regulation, you can't help it.
Yeah.
I mean,
would
you're
think that
replacing
this-
something
I would
that's
think
been
that
there.
this is an improvement to the general area and the resource area.
Would it be a post hole digger or equipment, or how are you?
Yeah, what
thinking?
have we done for people though, actually, I think, just to your comment, we've had some issues with fences and whatnot in other areas. It may be best just to file an RDA, and sorry to make it a little more
Very
So,
complicated.
I'm sorry, this path? What is this path?
The neighbors put it in with cement footings, I mean, and nothing happened there, I mean, come on, dude, what our family's gone through with that land, I'm just trying to put something that's a little nicer. It's private property, I just need to protect it for liability reasons.
I understand, I absolutely understand, and I don't see any particular reason that you couldn't do it. I think, but to Pat's point, it is a resource area. We have DEP regulations that we have to follow. And we've had other issues in other places where we've,
So if I just put up the same fence that was there, then I don't have an issue.
Well, it's
And
Well,
the
look is
wire?
nice. I mean, I wanted to try to make it look nicer. I mean, I'm not gonna go spend a bunch of money getting,
how much is an RDA?
$100. Doesn't have to be an engineered plan. It just gives abutters a notification, lets the town know that you've gone through the steps to get this. If you were taking out the old fence too, you'd probably be digging up the concrete posts that are in there. If you wanted to just
there's
put,
no concrete posts.
you said
He's talking
I'm
about
saying the neighbor, the neighbor put in 18 cement posts.
The
There's no
neighbor-
issue there. I guess that's why.
but what's holding your fence, your current fence in place?
Right in the sand.
I think they're just steel posts driven in the
Yeah,
sand.
that's all we're looking to do here, is just wooden posts to replace them.
So Pat, would he have to do an RDA if he used the existing posts that are already in place and just put fencing up?
And just ran the wire, I mean.
So there wouldn't
there'd
be
no
anything going
work
into the ground?
Into the resource area.
Right.
But, I mean, it sounds like you need fence posts, and it's, we're looking for consistency, we're looking for compliance with DEP regs. Originally, this came in, I thought it was a section of fence to block a walking way, which would have protected the dunes, and it would be 2 fence poles, and I would have said, yeah, it's a minor activity.
Is
but
that what that is right
It's a
here?
judgment call, yeah.
I mean,
But
the
it's
thing with
the
putting
whole-
up, just
right.
putting up a gate, I mean, people are just gonna walk around it, it's not gonna.
Right, so it became a big offense that we didn't know about, and it does involve resource zone work, so we're not saying a notice of intent, which would be, a stamp plan and notice to abutters. This would be, I mean, in my opinion, the commission can vote.
That's why we pay you the big money.
That's it, yeah, the big money. I mean, I would say, just to have a notice in the paper that this is what you're planning to do for work, and tell us how you're gonna put the fence posts in, that kind of stuff would be an idea, and I don't see a problem, getting it done.
Is this a public easement to access the beach? No, it's private?
Private property.
Okay, thank you.
All I wanna do is put up a fence and let people know it's private property, because no one knows that. I wanted to try to make it look nice instead of not. I mean, I can put up a bunch of signs and make it not look nice, but that's not what I wanted to do. I was trying to do it correctly. The board asking, unlike other people that don't, so.
And we do our best to control some of those, and some do and some don't. And we appreciate your doing that, and we're trying to keep it as simple as possible within our guidelines.
So what is the,
I think the
so an RDA if he wants to put new posts in, but not an RDA if he uses existing posts? I just want to make sure I
Yeah, I
understand.
mean, if you're gonna run a wire fence along the existing post, it wouldn't even be touching the ground, really, you'd just be walking.
Yeah.
So it's an RDA if something goes in the ground?
In the ground.
Okay.
That's what we've been doing with the fence posts.
Okay.
And what if I just put up a gate with one strip on each side, just so it's wide enough to cover the path?
I mean, minor is a judgment call, but we've had several, the example I've used for minor activities, we have a deck, one of the footings is gone, the other three are in place, I want to replace one footing, sonotube, it's minor. You've got the 3D, you've already got the deck there, put it in, it's a minor. We don't make people file. This fence doesn't exist, it's gonna be a post put into the ground. It's just, we don't have a black and white on this, we're just trying to use that judgment.
But you said, your email stated that if I was just putting in a couple things, it would be okay. So I'm asking if I put in
Yes.
a gate with, one strip on each side, just so it's wide enough to cover the path.
I mean, it looks like there's already fence poles on either side, so you could just stretch the fence back across it if you wanted to.
But I mean, if I did the wooden fence.
At just that location, so there's 2 posts and a gate?
Yeah, there'd be 4 posts, a gate with two strips on each side, one strip on each side, one section on each side. Is that a minor activity?
Well, the minute it goes into the ground, it then becomes an RDA
Well,
because,
Well, that's where.
But
that's
we
minor
have,
activity.
we have allowed, as Pat points out, we'll allow someone if they got a messed up sonotube on their deck or something, permission to do that, but what you're actually asking for though is a gate and 2 sections of fence, is what you're saying.
Which is what Pat said in his email to me, is that if you were just putting in a couple of things, it wouldn't be a problem. But because he realized
Gotta run this
2
across
lots
the
of
whole-
land, that it was a bigger project than he
What's the full width of the 2 lots?
200 feet, or 170.
I guess my answer to your question would be, if you're gonna drive a steel post on the other side of this and put something across it, then that would be, really wouldn't be much we'd have to say about that. But if you're gonna start digging holes and putting in fence posts, gates, then you ought to file the RDA. Okay. All right? Yep. Can we hang on to these? Those in the... Thank you very much.
Have a good day.
thank you very much, you too.
Why no black and whites?
Do you want me to put the address on the back?
Yes.
We have,
We wanna run down through,
which one?
we just deal with people that are in the room so that we can close it out.
Yeah, some can't start till 8. There's 3 that can't start till 8, I can give those to you. 148 Jericho was
I
one.
can't start till 8 o'clock.
3 people were told had a big agenda, so don't come until 8.
One of them's here. I'm here too.
Okay.
So
Listen very well. Thank you.
Let me make sure we didn't tell any of butters though, too. I have to make sure of who we told and who we didn't tell.
Okay.
Which address are you? Yeah, okay, yep. That would be fine to have now. What was the other one?
38 Atlantic Drive.
38 Atlantic.
Oh,
Yeah, I'll have to see if
Atlantic Ave,
someone called on
Central.
that. Someone might have called me, I can check. And if they haven't, we'll get you one quick.
Okay. Mr. Conley.
67 Charlie.
Okay. Well, why don't you group jump up and then we'll,
I'm Linda Coker, and I'm just here representing my brother who's out of state, Jim Kenny, at 7 Revere Street, and I think you have the letter. He was just looking to, I'm not sure
Yes.
what
Yeah, we had the
what I
notice
have,
of the change,
what I have
yeah.
on here, 7 Revere Street, is a shed to make it 10 by 20 rather than 8 by 16.
Right.
So right now, there's currently an 8 by 16 deck?
That's what you issued the permit for.
Oh, I see.
Yes,
And I think,
and that was approved on July 2nd, and so he is asking for,
Did we do that under an RDA or under a notice?
yeah, it was under an RDA, it was on an existing footprint where there had been something else.
each
Was he
in
gonna
there at
show,
one time.
yeah, was he gonna show a picture of the shed or he's just gonna
No,
have you describe it? and
Right.
represent it?
A picture wasn't mentioned before that was.
Okay,
It
yeah,
was already,
you have this, right? Yes, I'm sorry. Okay. And we did check with the building department, and it needs to be larger than 200 square feet to require a building permit, so he was at that. And there were no additional footings that were needed for it. Okay, those were the
There were gonna be sonotubes.
questions we had.
Does the addition of the expansion of the deck impact the lot line? Setback?
It's a shed.
Oh, it's a shed.
Yeah. I don't know
It's
if you.
still within the setbacks, it's still
Okay.
saying no disturbance of any vegetation, it's really all the same.
It's just a larger shed.
For what it's worth, I was there today and measured to make sure, not that I'm an engineer, but measured to make sure it would fit, and it would. Because it's
Is
tight.
this in a V
You're
zone or
better at
anything?
measurements evidently than my brother, so which is why I'm here.
I didn't say how much open space there would be, but it will fit.
He's going to attach it to the pilings. So.
I asked
It's
if it
not
was in a
just gonna
V
be-
zone,
yeah.
and it's in an A zone, and it's gonna be attached to the
Yeah.
fire.
So was me on saunas. So.
Mhm. So, as usual, so we're interpreting 200 feet as 200 feet or less, rather than 200 feet or more.
That's what Neil Duggan told me. He,
If,
you know,
if
we
the shed,
showed it to
if the
him.
shed or outbuilding exceeds 200 feet,
Yeah.
they need a building permit.
Okay, so it has to exceed.
Seed.
Right.
Okay,
Okay.
Seeds, right.
thank you.
Sure, if they wanted to make it 199.5.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Lisa?
I'm
Anything else?
good.
Anybody in the audience? Yeah.
How are we gonna amend that?
It doesn't take a formal process from there. We can just vote to make the change on that. It's like a revised plan, request review.
Okay.
revised plan, so.
Okay.
So I make a motion to revise
The determination of applicability.
ability, the size of the shed is now 20 by what?
10.
20 by 10.
Okay.
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
Great. Excuse me, do you know when he intends to do this?
He wants to do it immediately, because it'll be back up here in September, get it done, get the storage in for the winter, so, yeah. Yeah, that's why I'm here, and he's not.
Richard
We didn't
will
wanna-
come
we
down
didn't
and
wanna
see
wait.
it.
Not very far.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Somebody owes
Thank
me
you.
a lobster.
Yeah. I'm sure you collect.
So I'm sorry, did you figure out what you wanted to?
Yeah, I think we're all set. I don't believe any abutters were expecting these to be on, so, and we didn't post a time, so.
So
Okay.
she sent her.
Which one?
What I just have for that
Oh,
one.
yeah.
7
Up here
Revere?
it is. Is this it?
That's mine,
Oh, that's yours. Oh,
but you can
here,
have it.
that's.
Yes, ma'am.
That's me?
Yep.
Okay.
Sorry, Ken, ladies first.
Oh,
I'm good.
are you sure?
I'm good.
Okay. Hi, I'm Michelle Cote.
Hello, Michelle Cote.
How are you?
So thank you.
So so you probably know, I live on a really small lot, non-conforming. And we ended up buying a lot across Atlantic Drive, mostly for parking. We had no parking before. We had 2 spots on very limited parking.
What's the address? I'm sorry.
Of my house is 38 Atlantic, but the other lot doesn't have really an address.
Okay.
But it goes through to Central Ave, correct?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what's-
I actually,
Land.
brought a bunch of, you guys wanna see all this? So, this is a picture of the lot from, that my engineer provided me from Google Maps 2010, which is 2 of the same picture. So this is me, and this is the lot I bought. So, and that's, so, we had permission for the last 10 years to park in this lot by the owners.
Yeah.
It was elderly
Now all the
brother and sister.
vegetation's gone.
So those are actually our cars. I'm pretty sure those are our cars.
Okay.
Okay.
That's the lot we're talking about.
Right here.
And you can see it doesn't have a lot. I mean, there's some clear spots and so forth.
It looks like, to me, like there's a parking area that sort of
Yeah,
goes like
that's-
this.
that's what-
Just in the
Yeah,
Okay.
right. And obviously, we bought, that's only a few spots. I mean, the whole reason we bought it was to get more parking. But we had permission from the old owners to park there, which was
You see what I mean?
Yes, I do. It looks like right across there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
This is
and
the
that's
lot
exactly
that
what
they
it's
end up
been.
doing.
So,
But it looks like that's getting wiped
So
out.
I have, an existing, the way it is now from the engineers, which should I bring it over here, or?
I would just put it up there.
Okay, so, and I know that, you folks got a complaint from one of the abutters that I had moved some soil, which I did, because, so we're over, where am I? Okay, we're over here, and there's our view to the river. So we always park here, and we thought it would be a really good idea to park off the central. So that way we wouldn't ruin our view, because the lot slopes down.
Okay.
So, as you know, because it was, Peter Armstrong was here telling you exactly what he did. He cleared off a section down here. Didn't do anything, just cleared it off. And you can see that it was kind of, it wasn't green necessarily, but it had some stuff, some vegetation. And we still have a lot of it. We didn't clear off that much, but again, we did clear without permission. So, so with that being said, so that I had this drawn up. So this is the way it stands now. This is kind of our parking area. It's not a clean lot. It doesn't
Yeah.
look nice, and I don't know if you know, but rumor has it that the people that owned the house before me, who didn't even own the lot, buried a lot of things in this lot, like lots of appliances and stuff.
No bodies though, right?
No, but all my neighbors have told me stories, but anyway. So it's not a clean looking lot, and of course we bought it thinking that we'd kind of clean it up, make it look nice. So our plan is down the road, and I'm not suggesting that tonight, but I just wanted to kind of give you guys a feeling for what we're thinking about. Because because I just had the engineer kind of put together what we're thinking down the road. Is to keep the parking area, make a parking area down here and make it a walkway, and just have the rest of it be green. But as I spoke to Pat the other day, we're actually also in the process of putting together a plan to raise our house. Our house is on very short pilings, way below the flood zone. So, and because we bought this lot, we now have a place to put our house.
Huh.
So,
Why, you live
When are you planning to raise your house?
when? Well, I just started talking to Rockwood Design last week. I have another meeting with him tomorrow. I talked to Rivermore Engineering about kind of just talking to everybody, kind of putting the plan
So
together.
it could be next year sometime.
I don't know. Rockwood said that I could they do it year round, I guess, bake
Right.
the pilings in, and I don't obviously want to do it in the summer, so I'm hoping to get it done by next summer, but I don't know if that's even feasible.
Well, I think what you'd wanna do, just with Pat, but if you're gonna do this house,
So that's why, let me just interject, so that's why this is all kind of on hold. Obviously, we don't want to put any money into this lot, and if we're gonna throw a house on top. So what the engineers and I were talking today, we said that we would present it to you as a package, as house here, house there, back, and then how we would leave the lot once we were finished with it. And that's what they thought the best approach to dealing with conservation is.
Pat?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, we're kinda getting ahead of ourselves. I mean, this all started by, you
Right.
said coastal
I'm just trying to
dune.
give you a flavor for what we planned.
Right,
what
and
our
I'm just
plans
gonna go
are.
back to the beginning. So it started, this was a coastal dune that was, it had vegetation on it, and the vegetation got cleared, and it was probably being intended as a parking area. But this is a coastal dune, you can't just go clear things and make a parking area. Changing elevations, removing vegetation. So we asked you to come in on this violation letter.
Right.
And Peter came in and said, well, we're thinking of putting the house on pilings, and in that case, we could move the house in. That's an allowed use for a lot. We'd probably be able to do something with that, but it's kind of changed. We've never gotten to the point where we're back to restoring what was there.
Right.
Whether someone else allowed you to park there or not, it wasn't an allowable parking area. It was a dune, it's supposed to dune.
But the part that was altered, it appears to me, was a couple of things. From looking at these pictures, there's a small parking area that exists on
Atlantic Drive.
Atlantic Drive. But there was no parking or anything disturbed. So he should have known better, and you should not have
I agree.
excavated this area. So now you're coming back with a plan and saying, well, we already did it, so we're gonna create a parking area here.
No, that wasn't, I didn't mean to be disrespectful in that way at all. I agree that probably shouldn't have done it, or we shouldn't have done it.
So I think part of that plan could be a
So-
restoration of this, because an awful lot of this isn't even your property. What got altered was town property. What I can see.
Yeah, I asked the engineer about that today, and he said that it wasn't, but that's the way it looks on there, so I'm not sure, but,
So I think as,
Right.
to Pat's point, you're never gonna get a notice of intent done until you deal with this issue as well. It can be part of it,
right.
but it needs to be. Because as he said, you know, this is a dune that was altered, and that's fairly serious. So that is gonna have to get restored as part of that project. And I understand what you're saying, that you'd like to wrap it all into one, you're gonna have somebody do this filing and all that sort of stuff. And that makes sense to me.
She doesn't have access to parking from Central Ave. The only way they could access parking would be to actually do it on Atlantic. Because if you go down Central and you
Well,
would
I
look
haven't seen a
up,
spot, this thing right
you would
here
have
is-
to level it even more than it was
But
leveled.
this is dug out. This is Central Ave, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's parking here on Central Ave now.
I mean, there was always a little bit, because we have used it over the years, there was always a little bit, we just made it rounded. There was always room for like 2 parallel, but now we made it rounded, so there's probably room for 4 now.
Yeah, there is now room.
In one of the earlier meetings.
Well, there's a lot more room, because before, it was much higher. I mean, he took quite a few feet and leveled that, because there was a lot of grass and everything there.
Beach grass.
Oh,
and
yeah.
rose
I mean,
reversal,
that was
and
a-
it was much higher.
that was a
I mean,
really
this is an
good-sized
alternate
dune.
This would be something we'd say, go away with your notice of intent, you got a lot of work to do to clean this thing up. You can't just go leveling dunes and parking cars. I mean, this is not allowed. We have a bylaw, we have a state law that we have to enforce. We've had several
Well, I'd be
requests to park
happy
in
to
dunes.
do what you folks, I'm not sure how to rectify it at this point.
I
I
think-
wasn't even sure what the exact issue was, but it sounds like it's right down here. This one
Yes.
was kind of existing to a point.
Have you changed this area up here though from this photo?
No. No.
Because he's showing, I mean, I'm
I
looking,
mean,
I
every
have.
year it changes,
Right. I'm looking at the scale of what we're doing here, and if you were, I'd say this was more.
Well, yeah,
This is a car
no,
parked here.
this is what we propose. This isn't,
They haven't done that.
the red is what we
Okay.
propose.
So I would
No,
say to
it's-
you that we're probably not gonna
It's not gonna happen.
allow any more parking than what exists. You're not gonna be able to alter this dune.
But even that's been altered already. I mean, maybe there never should have been any parking there. That's
Well-
the point. It's a dune, it's a coastal dune, and, bylaws and state laws say you can't turn if you own the property,
Well,
you
how-
can't turn that into something else.
But how long has this been a parking area, Pat?
Well, we've been there 10 years.
We have pictures with this all vegetation.
Oh, we do?
Within
Yeah.
about a year.
Yeah.
Are you sure you're doing the right one, Pat, on this one? I think it's this side that's been all.
This side.
N-
Where's the?
The Atlantic,
weird.
the
Yes.
Atlantic side has been
These pictures here.
altered, and it was it was
This
tons
year.
of grass
This
and,
was
oh,
all
yeah.
Rosewood Wilson.
Well, I have pictures throughout the whole 10 years I've been there.
This is dated 2000 if it's 2010 if it's correct. So did this grow back in?
It must have, because we have pictures with this. When I came out here, this had recently been leveled.
Mhm.
This,
I've
This
been parking
area
there
here.
for 10 years.
But
It
this-
hasn't changed.
this vegetation, is that still there?
Yeah.
This lot is now flat and pushed forward, and it wasn't like that. It was all mounded and,
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. I've been looking at it for 10 years. It wasn't. Honestly, I'm not lying. But I will admit what we did here, definitely, but very little has changed on this, even to a point where there's still not much grass. There's a little bit, but not much in this little middle section. But again, if you want me to refill this in and plant grass, I'll be happy to. I mean, the last thing I want to do is, do the wrong thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, part of it's been complicated. It's changed a couple of times. It was house on pilings, it was parking, and now it's,
What do you mean a house on pilings?
I mean, you're gonna put the house, you put it over here, and then put the house on pilings, and then take the house and put it back on the pilings, so it's gonna be a storage area for a temporary for house. And that's something that we were encouraging houses going up, so that probably could have been worked in with a replanting plan. But now, we're talking use of this lot, which is close to Plymouth, so, I mean, I think it's a long way to go before.
Well, if they're gonna file a notice of intent to elevate this home, and part of that notice of intent is to temporarily store the house here, along with that notice of intent to do that, they could file a notice of intent to restore this area and request whatever here. We can look at it and decide.
But if this decision that gets made to raise that, there should be a notice of intent about parking. We had this similar thing with Mr. Clark down on Central Ave as well. And you want to park a
Which is
car
the
in
lot
June,
that they
I
purchased.
actually just bought it. I bought
Yeah.
that from Mr. Carr.
And same thing. I mean, you
But
have to file for a permit to park on a.
I would never, the reason I bought it was my neighbors were all in uproar with the way he was using it, and we have no intention of using it any other way besides what it is.
Weren't you
So-
gonna put pavers on it and?
No.
Alright,
We
so-
were thinking about putting pavers here, down, that was something we talked about, just with,
Let's try to get-
ourselves.
Let's try to figure out
Just to make it look
how,
nicer.
there seems to be a
Yeah,
discrepancy
and we've been
on.
shown pictures of that, so I can contact the person who brought in the pictures initially and see if there were pictures there.
But-
I mean, we did come after the fact, so we've only been going by what pictures we've seen. So
Right.
you have a set of pictures from 2010 that shows it this way, but maybe 2011, 12, 13, there was some growth in there. Or maybe the pictures we saw were older than this, maybe they were 2006 or 8, but.
Okay,
So.
We've been there since 2005, and we've been parking there since 2005.
okay. Well, let's see if we can determine that. I think making this a parking area would be, you do yourself, it would be beneficial to you to show this is parking as far back as you can show it.
Well, I've only been there since.
Well, I mean, there's maps, there's aerial maps that go back much further.
Yeah, if that's great, is it Grady Engineering?
Yeah.
They may be able to pull something up from the past on this. I mean, there are lots that we assume in humans that shouldn't be touched. The grandfather people have been paying taxes on for 1,000 years, and they win in court and they build a house on it. So we're not sure about what the final outcome is, but we just have to go by our regs and the state regs. And at this point, this is a coastal dune that's been altered, so that's where we get in.
So I guess I would just try to show that, if you can show that this has
I
been
mean, the whole
parked.
reason I bought the lot was to park there, so.
Well, but Mr. Clark had bought this property down here to store stuff on it, and he couldn't.
Yeah, but
Okay, so,
that's.
well, I think the best thing you
What
could
he
do.
means is it's altering.
But the best thing you could do, and I'm not saying, if you could substantiate that this has been a parking area for a long time, then obviously we're gonna,
Well, what's a long time? Like I said, I mean,
I don't know, it's a-
I've only been there since 2005, so
But if you talk to, well, you can, and if you talk to Grady, I mean, we've had people drag in pictures that are 30 and 40 years old.
Well,
And they've
tonight
been-
we had a picture that was
was
back in the
in the
50s.
60s. So-
50s and 60s.
But what's my guideline? I have to show that it's been parked on for the last 15 years, and then it's okay to park on?
We have a
Well,
picture before Peter Armstrong leveled it.
Well, that was just done a few months ago.
For the lower area.
It was done last year. He was there
He was
doing
at
it
the
last
upper
year.
end, too.
Oh, all right.
He was at both.
He put gravel in at
And
one
this,
point.
at this spot here?
Yeah, well, it wasn't him, it was somebody else, actually.
I would think we'd be looking to restore the dune on Central Ave,
Definitely.
first off and foremost. If you're going to
God bless you.
raise your house, you come back, and we'll talk about you putting it on the Atlantic Ave side, well, and that's just a short period. And
The river side of
and
Atlantic, she's on the ocean side of Atlantic, the house is now.
Yeah, well, what I'm saying is the house would go still on the Atlantic side. And then, after your house is done, if you can show us that there was parking there, maybe you can still have parking there. But I say, number one, you have got to restore the dune first, before we do anything else. On Central Ave, that has to have the sand, God knows where he took it, but it needs to come back. And be planted.
And you just put it on top, but out from that.
Well, don't take it off the top. I'll go back and start digging off the top of this.
Where am I gonna find sand?
When he leveled out that dune, he spread it across, which made it much wider parking area. He chopped the height down, he spread it all out. That dune has to be rebuilt up, like it was, and then replanted.
Gotta be some extra piles of sand and humrock somewhere.
No, there's sand, sand's right there. You just have to bring it back up where it was and not spread out for that big
Well,
parking lot.
let's
that
leave
you
it to Pat to
Yep.
direct that, okay?
Yeah, I mean, when he came in, he realized that he shouldn't have done the work, but he said, but it's part of the piling project. So then we said, well, we're looking at, getting a benefit out of it, but parking, we're not allowing parking on any lots. I mean, we haven't allowed any, and,
But Pat, the Central Ave side, that has nothing to do with the house and bylines.
He's agreeing with you, Pat.
right.
Yeah.
But I'm saying the whole
That's-
thing, to do any work out
Yeah.
there, you should come in and file. So
Right.
it's hard to figure out how, or what you should file for at this point. If you want to file for a parking spot, we could at least review that, but, I mean, if this project is being proposed, maybe.
I don't know how long this will be.
Yeah.
How long?
I know we're just looking at the wash off on the other side of Central Ave, but
What?
that may not be related.
Oh, well,
Yeah, yeah.
actually, that is a big problem, because that's the town,
Yes, we pointed that out after those big storms from 2 winters ago, that actually the town did a good part of that.
yeah, and that's my land.
She's right about that,
Opposite this lot on the riverside,
on the riverside.
the town, in terms of getting water off of Central Ave,
Right.
has created sort of a gully.
And it's apparently, I don't get flooded from it, but the street gets flooded from it, so. Anyways, so you want me to restore the Central Ave dune to be rounded?
The way it was.
Cut out,
Yep.
Yeah.
and,
And if you want, if you're going through that process of restoring that and getting somebody to do that, and you wanna apply for parking here, you can do it. We may or may not allow it, depending on the case that you make to have the parking there. Okay?
Maybe we need to get some more information, like old photos and photos we looked at the first time when the violation came on about vegetation. Try to get a timeline and just to figure out what's been there and what,
Fine. But that's what I'm saying, but they could make a case, right now, they need to restore this. And if they have engineers going out there and they're doing that, and they're gonna give us a plan to restore it, if they wanna wrap into that some parking on here, we can approve it or deny it.
yeah, it seems like we need to know what it looked like to know how to restore
And,
it.
and so that's what I'm saying, is part of that application would be all the information that they could give us to
so
just,
you want me to come back with an engineering proposal to
we wanna
restore?
show a plan that's gonna restore this and how they're gonna do it, and what they're gonna plant on it. Okay? So, and then, at the same time, if you wanna propose or show that there's existing parking or propose it or whatever, put that all on the plan, and we'll review it as a whole package. Okay? But anything that you wanna do up here, you wanna try to, substantiate what's been happening. Okay? As best as you can.
what else we could do is we can pull out the regs and state laws that apply to this, because it is confusing. You buy a lot, you assume whoever sold to you is saying you can build and do what you want.
Yeah, but that happens,
Well, I know I
that's
couldn't
not.
build on
Right,
it.
but we
It's
can
not
point it
built
out, we're
on
not
it.
making the stuff up, is what I'm saying.
All right.
I mean, we have regulations.
Oh, I'm good.
Okay,
Good,
so,
good, pretty clear.
do you wanna keep those?
Yeah, that would be helpful. We can keep that. Great.
So you need me to come back before I do anything else?
Yes.
I think if you're gonna have an engineer do that, and you wanna have them talk to Pat to save you some time and money, I think that's a good idea. Okay?
And the
You
same
can
with-
explain that to them,
Right. and
who's ever
we'll-
putting that together.
Yeah, and we can try to find some old photos of the site too.
Okay.
This is one that, should we have a time frame on this? That we don't want this to go on for the next 6 months?
Yes.
Okay, so we can plan on
Your time frame?
talking with the engineer within a couple of weeks and then back on a September agenda, September 17th.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
we need to know that
Yeah,
we're looking at a time frame, so we would like something filed by the 17th of September,
wanna do that?
Sure.
okay?
You're gonna wanna fold this anyway, right?
Okay.
And,
Thank you very
and-
much.
Well, it also mentions the Central Ave as far as the river lot.
What about it?
Well, just so she doesn't go and do something and find out she has to undo it, I just thought it might be nice to share with her if there's something that she was considering doing on there, what the process would be for her.
Same thing, you would file to say, yeah, I'd like to make a parking spot or some use out of it, you have to file with the commission, but we'd have to look at the regs and the state law and see if it's possible.
Yeah, we don't have plans for that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for coming in.
Mr. Conway?
Ken Conway, 15 Eagles Nest Road.
These guys, little guys here.
What's that?
Oh, yeah, please.
Lisa's grand.
Lisa's grand.
Oh, wow.
They're just hanging.
No, they're number 16 on the agenda.
Future conservation members. I'm like, wow.
They're observing.
Okay. Mr. Conway?
Good. I came in today to see Pat to set up a meeting with him, and because I've been out of town most of the summer, found out that tonight was about an enforcement order for 16-7.
Yeah.
So I had never received any of the letters that you guys had sent me, so Pat shared that with me. And
Did they not get mailed to you, Ken?
they were never signed for because I wasn't there to sign for them.
I see.
And I think Pat misunderstood that with the receipt that he has that shows that it was a certified letter, what he never got back was, the green card.
Okay.
Because no one ever signed for it because I wasn't there.
Okay.
So now we all know we have an enforcement order pending tonight.
Yep.
Some of you know I'm a pretty excitable guy. And
Sure.
I'm also a guy that's very excited and cares about the environment, owning substantial conservation land in Scituate, and fortunate enough to have 2 oceanfront properties. I probably overreacted at the last meeting when a question came up or a statement came up about whether I owned the property that we were talking about when I did the request for determination. So just to...
Did you file a request for a determination or an RDA?
No, I filed an RDA.
Okay.
So at that meeting,
Yeah.
I negatively reacted to the question of, do you even own the land? So
I
just...
don't even remember that.
So I did and I overreacted. So just so anybody wants to look at these, here's the tax receipts showing that I pay over $13,000 a year on that property in this car.
Okay.
So if
Good
anybody
to leave
wants...
Yeah.
Pardon? Well, okay, but I'm just saying, that's, you know, that got me
Yeah, I don't remember.
started in the wrong direction last.
I don't remember
last meeting.
that question coming up at all. to be honest with you.
So, now I guess the choice I have is, do I, for the letter, do I file a notice of intent, whether it's an abbreviated or a full notice of intent, or pull the stuff out, or get the enforcement order? So my initial reaction, after talking with Pat, and maybe even before, was that, okay, I'm just gonna bring in my list of all the houses around me, from Peggotty through the end of the Spit, and talk about all those. I'm not gonna do that.
Okay.
That could be for another time, but I don't need it. So what I need to understand from you is, if I file an abbreviated notice of intent for the work that I did, which is the only, now I've been to 2 meetings in the last month, or the last month and a half, I guess. I'm the only person that I think that has been trying to solve a problem for the environment as compared to how do I mitigate something I want to do. So where I am, I've got a very, very busy life, and I don't need any more hassles, and I don't want to hassle anybody else. So if you guys want me to file the notice of intent for the work that I did, the land, we've already lost 20,000 square feet of the marsh, or more, in the last late year and a half. You can see that the fence is stopping it. You know, the rocks are starting to build up there, but if you want me to do that, and if you give me some insurance that you're going to approve it, because you already know what I want to do, then I'll do it. Because then you'll have it on file, and, you know, the other 1,000 people that come behind me won't be able to say, well, Ken did this and he didn't file. So I'll have the file. If you don't want to do that, then, because I don't want to invest any more money. I already have over $1,000 trying to, you know, preserve the marshland, which is basically the beginning of life for the ocean. So if you don't want to do that, I'll pull the stuff out.
Well, I think Ken,
I just don't want any more hassles. I don't want to hassle you. I don't want to get myself excited. I don't want to get excited tonight.
I think, I mean, you served on the commission for a good, I don't forget how long a term, but you served on the commission, so you understand the rules and regs of the Conservation Commission.
Yep.
And so when you want to do something in a resource area like that, you need to file. And you did the work without a file. So then you.
Yeah, can I just tell you why?
No.
Okay, no, go ahead.
So let me just recount my recollection of what
You're
happened.
correct. I should have filed.
So then you came to us with an RDA, and we said that when you got a positive determination, because we felt that the RDA was not applicable for that application, and I believe you said at the meeting that you didn't want to do anything, that you weren't going to do anything else.
I wasn't going to spend any more money.
I think, okay. So, obviously, that our recourse is to file an enforcement letter. If you can file this notice, I don't think that I'm in the whole point in doing something like that is to request it. I think maybe you want to take a look at it and really determine whether what you did is going to be allowed in that resource area, because although I appreciate what you're saying, that you want to save the dune or save land that's in front of your home.
I don't care about that.
Okay.
I don't care. That rock, all that stone is going to come up and hit my seawall and stop there.
Right.
But another, you know, multiple of acres are going to get filled in.
And I understand that, and we see that happen with barrier beaches and stuff, and we may have conflicting thoughts on that. I mean, as a person that's been building in Scituate for a long time, and years ago, the mode of operation was to continue to push beach stones back onto the beach. We did it for years. DEP said...
We're still doing it. The town's still doing it.
In some places, and with a filing, like just recently at Man Hill, at Man Hill Beach, they've just put a bunch of stone back, and they came in and they filed a notice of intent to put that stone back there, and we did it. We also are going to have to answer to DEP and the different issues that they have with that. I may totally agree with you that trying to armor more of these places would be beneficial, or stop it, or whatever, but we're not the total authority on that, Ken, and I think you appreciate that after serving on the commission. That we're not the only people that are going to make that call. Am I fairly reasonable in saying that?
Yeah, I think the only point of disagreement I have, or different understanding, is I thought that the work that was done, and I still believe it, falls in the category, the exception category of, if it's so small, and if it's helping the environment, then you don't need to file anything. It actually says that in the regulations.
It does?
Absolutely. So, I actually quote, but you know what? I don't care now.
Well,
You're bringing up stuff about what the town's doing, and
Well, no,
I
I'm just- I'm
don't
trying
want
to
to. My debating head tells me to start debating. I don't want to do that
okay.
tonight.
Pat?
Okay,
I
yeah,
already went through about
we've
20 of them with
debated-
Pat today.
We debated a lot today, but I think we're close, and I think there's a couple of things that we could do. One was, Ken was thinking, it's small in nature, and we've all worked with resource areas, can't we just say, yeah, this will work? And I don't have the expertise to say, like a coastal judge, this is gonna be a great fence, it's gonna stop the rocks, it's gonna help. But, the state has this, I think I mentioned this, with Storm Smart Coast, how to do sand fencing. And there's a lot of details here, and you can't just have neighbors and residents throwing up fences, it has to be done right. So I think,
Do you feel that the work that he's done is in accordance with that?
it's impossible, because every beach is different, and this is like, when you're near a dune, you do it one way, when you're near a rocky, you
So
do
can
it
we
another.
condition what he did?
I don't know, I think someone that knows more about than all of us will have to tell us that, but I don't think that his intent is a bad one, I think it'll help the marsh. So I agree with a lot of what he's saying, it's just, you have to do it with a permit, and you need someone that says, this is gonna work, this is my field, I'm telling you this is gonna go to work. Comes to us, we hear this expert say it's gonna work, we have this stuff we read through, and we say, yep, you're good. You can even make it bigger, this guy might say, put another 50 feet of those there, and it'll help you even more. And it's just a mindset of, he doesn't wanna do it that way, and we have some rules we have to follow.
And the bad news is we got a farmer for a conservation agent rather than a coastal guy. What do you want me to tell you?
I am a coastal guy, but
This is one of the debates Pat and I had, and I still have. Between Pat and all of you here, you've got plenty of experience and know what works and what may work and don't. So don't,
That wasn't like a slam or anything. Can our person that we just hired as a coastal person?
No. Yeah, there's a science to it. People can say they're wetland scientists, but they've never been on a beach, and that wouldn't work, so. But I mentioned a few names. We have wetland people around, Jim O'Connell's done it, and Carlos Payne, there's a lot of people. Maybe there's someone that's more reasonably priced, that you get, but I'm not saying don't do it, just you have to apply, a butters have a chance to talk about it.
Only butters think it's great.
Well,
But they have a right to attend a meeting, and Natural Heritage controls that area for nesting, and they might say, this is all bad, we want rocks there, or we want, and they have to get a copy of an NOI. We're required to send them a copy of the NOI. So, we're close, but we're digging our heels in.
All right.
So what would you like to do?
Pardon?
So what would you like to do?
I don't care. I could,
Because the last time you were here, I think you were a little upset, and you said you weren't going to spend any more money, and you're going to rip the fence down, and that's the last we had heard.
Right.
Well,
And then I thought, being, a conservationist and, living and loving on the ocean, and I've got lots of experience up here, both from owning the property and from down on Long Island and in Maine and other properties I've owned. I've read hundreds of books about how this, and there's no one in the world that can guarantee. In fact, my opinion is, if we have one more big storm, I don't care if I put a 4-foot wall there, it's going over it. So it's, what I did was so minor that maybe it might slow it down a little bit, but it probably isn't going to do it. It's going to be, we get one more big storm, those stones are going to be up against my seawall. So, with that in mind, that was my mindset of, hey, Ken, don't spend it,
all right.
I'm a business guy, I don't waste money.
So then take it out then. If the next storm's gonna, take it out.
Or file a notice, and we'll.
Yeah, but that costs me money too. So I don't wanna spend any money unless I mean, I've seen other meetings in here and I've participated in them where people had done stuff, or they did, even if they had a notice and they, did work that wasn't in there, just like you were talking about here. And everybody in there said, or at least you had a majority say, hey, if you do this, we're gonna be okay. So, why am I gonna even spend another $500? If I'm not gonna get, I'd be better off just going up and jerk it out.
I think Pat's given you some pretty good, he's giving you the literature that's saying that this is a doable thing.
I've studied all that. I'm not spending $1,000 to have somebody come in here to tell you what you guys already know. I'll just tear it out, and then we won't have the marshland there. Doesn't really bother me, other than I hate losing the marshland.
Right.
It doesn't affect me and my house. I got a seawall there. I can build all I want behind that seawall.
So
The other thing we talked about is if everybody along that stretch threw a fence in, then the storm comes and washes the fence, we have fences everywhere.
Well,
We have birds' nests
that's why I'm
ripped up.
agreeing with, hey, I'll file the notice if you guys tell me this thing's gonna work. Because then you got the paperwork that says, well, came in, you've actually filed 2 different times, you looked at the work, you said it was okay, great. You got that to stand behind so that everybody isn't coming in. Because I'll tell you what, I don't want to get into it.
Yeah,
There's more than 20 things here that I can tell you that both the town and individuals are doing that makes no sense. That they ought to be sitting here tonight, not me.
Well, we do have 16 on for tonight.
They're not on the list. None of them are on the list.
Well, we're knocking them off as they come in and as they
Well,
find out about it.
All right.
I'm not trying to get.
And I want to knock off a few more, so let's get going.
Okay, so what do you want me to do?
So what do you want to do?
Well, the same
I
thing.
want to file the notice, and I want you to tell me now that you're going to approve it.
We can't do that.
Okay, then we're done.
Thank you.
Okay,
So
thank
you're
you.
going to tear the fence up?
Yeah.
Lisa.
I'm sorry.
When do I have? How long do I have? I'm going out of town again for about another month.
I mean, the date we had given was today, but apparently you didn't receive the certified letter, so.
How much time did we give them before?
I believe it was, might have been a month. We wrote it,
Get a good copy of the map so that you can see what you ruined, because I didn't ruin it.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, appreciate it. I wouldn't call myself conservation agent, so I wouldn't.
Just leave.
All right.
Excuse me?
You heard me.
All right. You know what? This is a meeting, and everybody has a chance to do it. Thank you.
I didn't attack anybody.
All right. Thank you very much.
That's what's wrong with some of the
so
conservation.
what should we take on this? How about 148 Jericho Road? Want a success story?
Yeah.
Okay, this was the neighbors who lived down on Jericho Road, and next door neighbor owned the property, and Russ Trotman was gonna be doing some work out there, and we said, it's part of an enforcement order, you can't just pull out.
Right.
So Greg Moore submitted a stamp plan.
Yes.
They thought that they could get the rocks and everything done last week, and they actually finished it. He got river stone from somewhere, did a lot more of it than we'd even asked for, and it looks unbelievable.
So we're going to give them a certificate of compliance?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. And this should be the model of what they do on this kind of
Do you have
project.
some pictures?
I don't have pictures, but
You have a camera, go out
I
tomorrow and
know,
take
I
pictures.
take the pictures.
Who's the photographer in the crowd?
I'll go take pictures with you.
Well,
Because he'd have to buy film.
Well, it was my night stop today, so at that point, it was done.
Lisa, if
Sir.
you could get us some poster boy type pictures of that, that'd be great.
And we'll let Greg know and Russ know that you did a great job on this.
Okay.
Quickly, in a week. So it's good.
Okay.
Next one would be Patty Butler's tree.
Oh, jeez.
Did anybody?
No.
Just me.
I mean, I saw it from the
The
wrong.
dead tree, that's a given. In good conscience, I can't.
You know what, I
Say
didn't
that.
get out. Can I go out there the next
Yeah.
couple of days?
Yeah,
I'll let you know after next.
Betty and I both said there's a big limb that's hanging over the house from a healthy tree. There's a dead tree that can go, there's a big giant tree she wants to take down, and we're both thinking,
Yeah.
let other people look at it. I mean, maybe a limb could come off that tree and save the tree. Or,
But
Well, the other part is if it's a tree that's on its, I mean, some of these trees reach maturity and they're dying. And we're seeing a lot of that. And if she's gonna have spend money to have somebody come in and take this dead tree down, and she can get it at the same time, and maybe replant something. But I honestly can't say that.
You've gotta see the tree.
What's the
Frank.
address?
It's beautiful.
Right at the reservoir, coming on Chief Justice Highway 439. We permitted a septic system there earlier in the year. And if you come in the driveway,
That tree's dead.
there's a dead tree that's the fifth one in. She's talking about the fourth one in. It's right across from her house. And Penny and I have looked at it, and it's, whatever you think.
All right.
It's a unique tree.
Sorry.
Go look at it, Frank.
And just let me know, give me a call or an email so that we can
Yep.
tell them. Okay. Lot 2, Glades Road. Okay, Chris Lucas was out there, and he did a wetland review, and they're gonna be on the agenda for September 3rd. John Zimmer's gonna represent the property owner, saying why he doesn't believe it's a wetland that can't be replicated somewhere else, just filled and replicated. And Chris Lucas said that he agreed with me that there's values to this wetland. So it'll be dueling wetland scientists, one saying what they think and the other one saying why they don't.
Can we get an idea from these scientists how much effect that wetlands has? In other words, can we quantify how much cleansing that does? Does it cleanse 100 gallons or so many cubic feet of water? Is there a way to actually determine how that works?
Yeah, there's four different points I think he was trying to show where it could be replicated somewhere else. One was habitat value, diversity of species. There was habitat value. There seemed to be a good diversity of species. It wasn't, no invasives were in there. So, I mean, all those kind of things were like, well, this is a reason to keep it. Here's a reason to keep it. Here's a reason. So the quantity of stormwater thing, I could ask him.
I mean, I guess in my mind, that's the value of an isolated wetlands is, as you said, there's some habitat value.
Yeah.
But in my mind, the big piece is, for these, is that they work towards a recharge. And
it's probably not as great of recharge area just because it's the
it's all
ledge
ledge,
is out there.
right.
Yeah. So that might
so there's
be,
habitat value.
Yeah, I mean, we walked in there, so it was like being on the West End and one of the wetlands out there. I was surprised.
We were shocked.
Yeah, I've been there.
It's
I
so
mean,
nice.
when I walked in there though, and I mean, not the beer cans and trash,
Yeah, there's some of that.
but there's a
there?
bunch of trash.
Yeah,
strewn
that's still
around.
there, but
I mean, this is probably a few years ago, because
Yeah.
this has been going on for,
well, the kids club.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
all right.
So it'd be interesting to see John do his presentation and then Chris talk about each one of those points.
Okay.
And these don't come up that often, so it's up to us to look at, the arguments and to try to make a judgment as to what we should do around this well.
All right.
when are they coming in?
Third.
Next
Okay,
meeting.
good.
And is Chris not around on the third?
Yes, that's what you said last time.
Chris is not around on the third, but he's gonna send somebody
He's sending some.
with his report, that's what it is.
It's 2 days after, right?
Yeah.
You should be sober by then.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the other Glades lot was the Glades Marsh way out at the end.
Yeah.
And that one,
How are we making out there? Where's Mr. Chamberlain?
he's calling to find out what he needs to do, and he's agreed to
Is he
send him
violent?
a check. Not yet, because we haven't got, I went out there with Mark Reinhardt the other day, and we took measurements, we took soils, and she's done a lot of salt marsh work before, so she had a lot of things she brought up, and I'm thinking, wow, that's a great idea. And the tide tracks are still out there, so it's quite a bit of disturbance. So she's gonna do two different estimates. One, how much damage has been done and give all the statistics in the soils, and then the other part would be what it would take to restore it.
Okay.
She may not get the restoration piece, but she's already done the other piece.
Okay.
And then we have to get back to Natural Heritage, to DEP, to Audubon, so everybody's waiting to hear from her. So
Okay.
she's going to be doing that probably this week. She's good. She's really good at this.
Okay.
So,
Ma'am, did you ever?
Yes, I'm told that they're coming in today for 228 Central Avenue. We put in blocks.
Yeah,
Yes,
blocks.
yes.
Okay.
Come on up.
have anyone that could come along with me because there's no time to get anyone, but I would like to
Sure.
tell you some things about it.
Okay. And your name is, ma'am?
Jeannie Ackerblom. I live at 228 Central Avenue, Humrock.
Are you the owner of the property?
I'm one of the owners.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, we had talked earlier today too. I was glad you were able to come in, and it came about, there's an open order of conditions, and there's a lot of work. It was done, stonework and revetment, the deck and all that has been completed. And we were riding by looking at it, and then these two walls appeared. So they weren't on the order of conditions, so we sent a violation letter. And then when I spoke to her about, you know, taking it out or, you know, why it was put in there, she had a lot of things that she wanted to discuss with the commission. So I said, yep, come on in and we can listen to it. Here's the...
Go ahead.
Okay, well, first of all, we had it that we're going to close out the permit, and just took a long time for the engineer to come out to, you know, close it out. But in the meantime, we had problems with getting swamped by, I call it, we had a couple incidents. We went through a lot of storms and we made out very well. Then the day after, we got stockpiled. We're the only house on the ground with two houses on the side. I have pictures. We got stockpiled, like basically a moat made across our property, and we got flooded the next day after the storm. I call it Storm Scituate. I think it was Storm Saturn. I have pictures. Our house, the water had nowhere to go because it was way over our heads, straight across all the properties, and it came, broke our garage, and we got 8-inch high, I have pictures all over, flooded our whole downstairs. We did not get flooded in the storm. I had Russ Clark come out. He gave me the okay. We made it through the storm. Day and a half later, we were flooded. And so we took care of that. We got this. We had a call the DPR. We said, you are causing us great harm. They finally moved the fill. We had a clear opening driveway area, like in front of our house to the street. After the storm, the water goes across the road. We end up doing fine. We have, usually the only thing we have on our property is the very front, when they go by with the, usually first go around, we'll have like a small ridge of dirt. But because we're a big open area, the DPR, whatever you call it, comes, DPW, stockpiles on our land. We're a nice big open, it's always open. After the storm, it always washes through. Big open area, we get stockpiled. And then the next storm happened. I started having my sister stay at the house. She might, if it's a bad storm, she'd like leave and come right back home. She got home and they were stockpiling, and I have a picture of her there, already half full stockpiled, and they moved it away, and she stopped at that time. But if we're not right there on it, so that's when we decided we're gonna put blocks down. They're decorative on one side, and the other side they're not. And they're movable, and they're just stacked. We did not concrete it in, and they're movable, but they're right down. We had 2 wing walls on our property. They've been there always, and right down straight to the, not always to the street, like partway down, we put like 2 blocks up. Storm goes by. They've been there now for a number of different storms. It doesn't change the topography of the land, because the water's still going through. But what it does is, it gives us an area to tell the town, do not stockpile on our property. The 2 houses that were, are on stilts now, which they weren't always, the water goes through, and if they get stockpiled, they don't care because they're not losing anything. They may, I think they sometimes lose their septic tops of their septic tank. So this is a big issue. And just to say to me, if I have to do something formally to be able to use them, they're not permanent, but I do not feel that I could use to take them right away right now without, jeopardizing my property. It's a big issue, and I've called, and I'm told that day that we can do whatever we want when the storm comes, but my property's not losing all that stuff. It's going across the street, but they're using all the way down the street, and if you're in the house at the moment, they will leave you alone, but if they don't see you, you're covered. So it's like, I don't know where to go, but it's more than one issue.
So this is more complicated than our original letter about the wall. We've had discussions with other residents about.
I have some good pictures. I mean, I don't have
The fact that
copies.
it was flooded during the storm, and it got flooded the day after. That's-
So
Not
you're
alone.
saying because you have the walls on each side of the driveway, that they're not, the cobble is not being piled in front of your driveway?
Because I can, at least I can show, I still tell my sister show up, but now I can say to them, do not, whatever comes in my driveway, whatever comes in my road, or, what comes from the street, the ridge, whatever, how high, fine and good, I'm like everybody else. But when you're taking a front end loader and going all the way down the street
No,
and
I hear what you're
dumping,
saying, so they
that's
would-
where, my garage door, I have a picture of it, just pushed all in. And that's because the water came around, there's no place for it to go. 3 houses, 4 houses like across, no place else to go. I'm the one down on the ground level. Lost my stairway, lost garage, and I did not collect on insurance because I was damned to, I first started, it said should be home, like mass property or whatever, I'm thinking I should do it, and then I said, I am not putting in a claim and saying I got flooded when it wasn't a real flood. It was a man-made flood, so it was not, so I did not collect. And I have pictures of all my belongings, and I was going to do something, but I'm not really a Sue person, but I did react, and that's when we decided that it looks good. I could get things from my neighbors saying that they don't mind it. And if you look at the topography, you don't see any different from, if you look, you don't see that I'm carving a new channel. So whatever you'd like to say, you're welcome.
I think, Pat, what?
Yeah, what I was talking about, a lot of times we have regulations in place so that a butter's property doesn't get impacted. And a lot of times if you put walls in, it directs everything to somebody else. So that's one of the main reasons. In your case, you have people on pilings around you, and you get the brunt of it. So, I think everybody hears what you're saying and understands that you're getting damage and you're trying to protect your property. And it's hard for us to say,
So you're trying to complete a certificate of compliance
yes.
on this project?
Yeah, that came in a little bit later.
And then, but there's pieces on here that weren't conditioned when we did the project.
Right.
So we either have to amend the orders to allow these things, or tell them to take them out.
And that's where we're at. I don't know if we should or not, this was not our intentions when we first did it.
Right.
If we amended it, the thing that gets me, other than never mind what I was gonna say, I don't find them all that attractive, but they're not permanent, and that to me makes a big difference. Nothing's been put in the ground, that to me makes a difference. And so I'm wondering if it could be allowed as a new item in the order of conditions, that as long as it isn't
It
permanent.
is not permanent.
I heard you say that, yes.
But it functions the same as something that is permanent. I mean, the function of it is the same, but I know what you're saying, it could be taken out if it turns out it was doing damage to someone else. You
If
can
it
get
was, I would.
Correct.
But my
It's a tough one.
concern is just the opposite, where they're not permanent, a real northeaster, is that gonna take that and slam it into the pilings next door?
No.
No,
Guarantee it doesn't, I mean, a house could slam it.
No, I hear you, I just
if
don't know.
if anything, they'd be covered with rock, and it would be covered over, it wouldn't be covered
But
under.
I've also seen revetment move.
No, I understand.
That's big. That's all. I don't know what the answer is.
The rock-
I
the
don't
rock-
have the answer.
Exactly.
The rocks come
Yeah,
across
no,
the road.
I
They-
hear what you're
They
saying,
fill in.
and I understand what you're
And then-
trying
then-
to do,
then
but
the
I don't
houses-
know if it's.
The houses afterwards have to get their rocks that are going up to the top of their pilings, and they have to clear out. So
Okay.
basically, it rises up.
Yeah,
If
I
anything,
get
has to
it.
be brought back down.
I understand.
I mean, there are people that we could talk to coastal zone management, who came out and gave us some advice on a particular site. They said, gee, on this site, you would be better off bringing in stones and putting them there. Maybe they would say, it's a flexible situation depending, you're not putting a revetment in, you're not putting a parallel, wall in. Maybe perpendicular walls are looked at differently, maybe they're not. But they have been against any kind of engineered solution that is concrete.
Okay.
It's not, parallel to the beach, but
Well, do you wanna get, try to get somebody from CZM or something to,
Try to get some information, and then the two choices are, you know, you could go through an amended process where you say, we have an order for this.
if we're gonna,
we'll
yeah,
amend
and if
it.
we're gonna amend that, we still have to do that publicly, so in case
Right.
your neighbors are concerned
Oh,
with it.
yeah, and actually I've talked to my neighbors, but I know it's not formal, and we'd do it formally, and I'm not sure which was the better way to go.
Okay,
If it was causing someone great harm,
Right.
then I can see about not having them there, but right now, I see the only one who gets the great harm is if I leave them, take them out.
right.
Now, do we have any in the past, you guys remember, that were perpendicular? I haven't seen any.
No, yeah,
Can-
not that I remember.
Can I, I didn't take pictures, I did take pictures, but not with me. A lot of my neighbors who are on the ground level, that have stilts, and some who don't have stilts next to them, it's very common that some have the wood, I guess you call them
Like-
railroad
Yeah.
things.
railroad ties, yeah.
Some have the concrete vertical walls, they're all made of all different materials, but they're pretty common.
Well,
Mine are
All right, so
now.
let's, you know what, I don't wanna keep debating this, it's getting
Okay.
late, these guys are showing more patience than I have. So let's, say that we have to have somebody take a look at it, and,
Okay.
if it's not gonna be that way, then they're gonna go, and if they think that they're permissible, then you'll have to file an amendment.
Well, we're gonna work towards doing something that we
Okay.
can use them.
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
And the other thing is they are placed on top of an impervious surface, they're on, so
Why don't you
you're
get,
not putting it on.
see if you can get
like a
somebody from
dune.
CZM or something to
Yeah.
take a look, all right?
They're on
But-
rocks, they're not on a footing, we didn't pour a footing and put these
Right.
down,
But
they're
they're not on a dune either.
no, they're not.
Okay,
All right,
great, thank you.
Thank you.
thank you for listening to me, and I just apologize for coming in,
Well,
so,
thanks for coming in.
Thank you very much.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you.
this other way.
So the remaining ones that are here, Bonga Zone, are we anywhere?
I heard from him today, he wants to challenge the original wetland line, and I said, you know, we have an order in place, and.
Are we giving him an enforcement order?
We talked to Mr. Ellis this week about where it stood. To close things out, he'd meet in the middle on the plantings, but there still needs to be a removal of the lawn. So when I told him that, he goes, well, I wanna challenge the line. And I said, well, you know, we can go before someone, we can get you in touch with DEP. So I called Christine Odiaga, and I'm just gonna say to her, how can somebody challenge something after the fact? What's his week was? I'll just tell him what it is and then we can file.
Okay,
So,
yep. Haas trees, I did see that, but I didn't stop.
yeah, I haven't written it yet, but it's the next violation on the right.
Okay.
I talked to the property owner, who is somebody else across the street. Haas might have done it. The guy that owned across the street may be related to him. He owns a lot, and he said, "I'll wait to see your letter." I said, "It's
Okay.
coming," so.
All right. And Ayers on Gardner Road? Gosh, this thing's been going on since.
Right, Mr. Toomey's been contacted by Ayers' attorney, and he was saying, so we're ready to go on a housing permit, I guess conservation and public works are okay, huh? And Jim said, I don't think so, so tonight, when this is over, I'm gonna write a letter to Jim in response to that, so that'll be,
It's amazing how people come up with different conclusions.
True.
yeah,
Okay.
Selective stupidity.
White at Edward Foster,
okay.
are we just giving him a deadline?
We gave them till today.
Okay, and he
Hold
didn't
on,
do it?
We just get the letter here, there's quite a few going on, I have to check my notes here.
Yeah, we just got a letter in today. Did it get in there?
From them?
Yeah.
Oh. I have an August
It was
first.
under the door.
Oh. Because I called them today, said we're gonna be discussing it tonight. We said to get in a plan, a schedule for completing the planting by August 20th.
Yeah.
So today's the 20th, and we may have some.
Foster's almost as popular as
Yeah.
Central Ave.
Yes, Central
Yeah,
Ave.
it is. And you're glad that's not Humrock.
I said it's almost as popular as Central Ave.
Yeah, right. There's a lot down there. Can you show Mark the horse and, oh, thank you.
Ayers is still.
Oh, it's only the top page, so. Read read it in or read it out, or? I told you tonight was in there.
It's good to me.
We got it today.
Okay.
What did it say basically?
Yeah.
It's a plan,
Our goal is beginning additional planting around October 1st and then finishing next spring, May 1st.
and the big issue was mowing, and there was a grass lawn. Yeah, there's a lot in there, but they did respond by the 20th, so I think we have to figure out what we'd like to do next.
We'll tell them to stop mowing.
Well, can we
That was in the letter.
chance to read it and continue it?
Yeah, we do that.
That's
Have a conversation between now and the 3rd,
Yep.
before our next meeting, and then bring it up again.
Maybe this could get scanned and sent to all of us, so we have a copy of it. You know, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, it must have come in late, too.
Well, it was under the door, so nobody was there.
Also, yeah.
Well, at least they knew there was a deadline.
I called them today, too, so.
Oh,
Good
yes.
call. Good call.
So we're continuing
That's
this
a better
till,
response than some.
Okay.
Yeah, Sunday today.
But, so we're gonna the committee members are gonna review this and agree
2
that we
weeks
can
from
work
now
with
we'll-
that. And if we could have your input on that.
Yeah, I'll talk with them, and 2 weeks from now, we'll have it on the agenda,
Okay.
all right?
And in the
Yeah.
meantime, we'll get a copy of the letter.
Yeah.
We have Barry at Monticello Street.
Okay.
I got the folder up here.
Okay, there's been 2 4-page letters sent.
Have they done what they're supposed to do?
No.
No.
Send them an enforcement.
Yeah, today was the day. We said today, we don't hear, get it straightened out.
I'm a little confused by some of the people that they reference in some of their letters, so I'm not quite sure what relevance that has, so.
So they're gonna get an enforcement order, huh?
Yeah.
was signature required?
I can send it, you guys can endorse it at the meeting.
Okay.
I called them today to say this is what was gonna happen.
Okay.
Okay.
Order of conditions for O'Donohue at 44 Crescent Ave.
I make a motion, we accept them as written.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have some other things, we have a crane in the river, we have 159 Hallett,
All right, let's do one at a time.
yeah.
So the pile driver in the river, did Mark make a decision to?
Yeah, we got a response today. Let me just find the folder.
I don't have that one.
It came in today. What's the
None of
address?
it's
Duffy's?
One,
295 Central?
171,
27.
excuse me, 271 Central.
So Mark sent 2 letters. He had sent letters already, we just didn't get copied. I was glad he did that. So we got a letter from Offshore Marine today, Mark Stevenson. And this came in yesterday.
That wasn't today, that was 2 or 3 days ago.
Yeah.
That's the one that I responded to.
Is this August 15th
Yeah.
one? Yeah.
No.
That's not good enough.
Right. So.
I wanted original copy of the permit to see, actually,
Yeah, well, one of your questions, I
Yes.
think it was you, Lisa, that asked, is it just chapter 91, or is it, no, it's riverfront, it's us too, it's land underwater, so.
I mean, I would think it's Mark's jurisdiction. If Mark doesn't want that barge there, he just has to tell me to get it out of there.
Right,
I would haul it.
but it does also impact the riverfront area, and it's land.
there's no lights
So,
on
but
it?
There's nothing on there that says I'm gonna be done this week.
No.
It says I'll
Right,
do it.
right.
Well, I think you just call him back and tell him if it's not. I can't believe it's gonna take him that long to grab.
They haven't been doing work on that in over a year. It's just sitting there.
That's there.
Yeah.
And there's a tank out in the backyard that we don't know what it is, it's attached to the
Big,
house.
large white,
They've never finished the
All
work.
right,
We
well,
told
he
them.
needs to get that out of there, and,
Right,
you know,
and who gets the enforcement thing then, her or him?
I would say the both do.
Does she own out to that point in the river maybe, or, I don't know?
I doubt it.
If that's
but
an
don't-
obstruction, but I don't understand why we're dealing with that part. As far
Oh,
as
the obstruction, right,
that's,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
the harbor master.
Right,
We just want the other stuff
yeah,
dealt with.
yeah.
Kevin.
So she'll be on the agenda for the next meeting.
All right,
All right.
Get a signature.
Yeah.
Orders for 180 Central Ave, is that,
Yeah, we
no, we
already did.
discussed that, right?
Wait a minute. We did 44
44.
Crescent.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the only order.
So do we have orders for one?
It was on for months, and they didn't get on in time, they just got their DZ number.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so I make a motion to accept, what's the number?
Order conditions for 180 Central Ave?
180 Central Ave, as written.
What was that project?
Yeah.
It's a deck.
It was just,
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
158 order.
What about it?
I don't know. I
You-
thought he
is it
was
on?
coming in.
I don't see it on
See,
here. No.
Oh, 150.
Yeah, Pat said he talked to the engineer and they're
Yeah.
getting some information together and they're
Got
getting.
Bob Crawford back involved, and he wanted to be on for the 3rd, September 3rd.
So 9-3 for them?
9-3, yep.
Okay, I'm just trying
And
to
your
keep
butters,
track.
your butters come in and copy the file, and they'll all be there too.
And then the last one that we added on was all at 159.
Did you
I have-
see, you have the plan,
Yes,
did
I have
everybody
the-
else, it was hard to read it, right?
Well, it's hard to read it. What I basically did was I took the plan they're showing, they're coming 45 feet off the back of the garage. And if you go to the original plan, 45 feet off the back to where they want to start their planting is in the wetland. It's at the flag.
Where's the, why don't they put the
I-
fence back?
Because they don't want to. This is the line where the fence is supposed to be.
To me, that ends the discussion.
Yeah, put the fence back where it was supposed to be when we conditioned the project.
I'm all for it.
Okay.
And the
Yeah.
plantings.
Put the fence back where we conditioned it, we just conditioned this house.
Yes.
In a sensitive area, put the fence back where we showed it,
Yeah,
all right?
which
I mean,
is
no
this
one's gonna
one.
buy we're gonna not condition a project for one person and then have someone else come in, just like Mr. Bungazone, and say, geez, I don't like the conditions that were put on my house at the time I bought it. If they wanna file and do all that, but in the meantime, they need to put that fence back where it was shown on the plan.
You know, put the plantings where they're
And
supposed to
put
be.
the plantings where they're supposed to be. If they wanna deal with some invasives and they wanna come in and ask us about that, that's fine. Are we-
Well, I think the confusing part is, when we went out to meet with them, they talked about the invasives, and they had a guy draw up a plan that was closer, I mean, it'd be on the other side of the fence, but it was getting rid of invasives and replacing them with
Well, we can
plants.
consider that, but
But
the
it's
fence,
at the
but
edge
the,
of the
but
wetland.
the fence needs to go back. This was a pretty tight site,
Yeah.
and we allowed it, and this is where they get real close. And then after the people buy it, they're like, God, geez, I didn't like that, and who knows whether
Right,
somebody
but they
said to
didn't-
them,
yeah.
well, you know, don't worry about it when.
But they didn't take the fence out, they had no idea there was a fence, it was the guy that owned the property that built the house.
Well, I don't care.
Right,
Doesn't matter.
right, but it was a surprise to them, so they said, well, can we get rid of these invasives? And when we were out there, we said, yeah, give us a plan.
Fine.
But,
Unfortunately,
beyond
they
the
have to
fence.
comply with this.
but Pat, the plan they gave us is this yellow line is where they want to start their plantings. That is wetlands flags.
Yeah.
If their plantings are supposed to start here at the blue line,
Did any of this get altered
it's all been torn out.
by a machine or just cut or?
Just pulled, just
All right,
pulled.
so,
And
well, do we want them to plant wetland stuff back in here?
yes, I would say I do. What they did was they went back in here and they kind of cleared it. And now all the natural stuff and poison ivy that they don't like is growing back up. I said, that's not invasive. I'm with you, Frank. The fence has to go back in, the plantings according to this plan. They can put these plants in, but according to this plan, not way back in here. There's a reason we did this, and if you look at all the little notes,
Yep.
they fully explained what and how they were supposed to do it.
Okay.
And they want to put mulch in.
This
they
isn't
want-
like
they
an
want all
existing
kinds
house
of
that was
stuff.
there prior to the Wetlands Protection. This is a brand-new house that we conditioned.
Right, I'm not arguing with you, what I'm pointing out is, they put the fence in, and they do the original plantings, they're good with that.
Right.
Say that gets done, they asked if they could get rid of the invasives and put in some really good plants. We said, yeah, draw up a plan.
Okay.
And that's where, but we disagree with the plan. Okay, so the
So-
guy gave us a plan, and now we're at the point
So
where
we're gonna tell them to plant something that we think is appropriate here. If the area's been altered or torn up, let them revegetate it, but with plants that we wanna have there.
Okay, that's fine. What I'm against is them starting their plantings here, where they're supposed to be up
If the plants that
here.
are gonna go in here are the type of plant that Pat feels is appropriate for this area,
They wanna start it here and go that way into the wetlands with
I
their
don't see that on
plants.
the.
Well, you'll see it right here. This is 45 feet away. This is where they wanna put the plantings. They don't wanna plant where they're supposed to. They wanna start here and go that way towards the wetlands with it.
But Fran, when we were out there and we were looking at the back, it's all Phragmites and knotweed and
There's a
junk.
lot of weeds.
Well, there's weeds too, but they're okay. But then there's the invasives that are really gonna take over the yard.
And we
If
just
he
did-
wants to fix that,
Right.
you know, but
They wanna remove, we just told the Finnegans the same thing. They wanna remove some of those
But they gotta put the
invasives.
fence back up.
Right.
Start
Fence
the
back up.
plantings
that's
there.
fine.
Yeah.
That's
Start
fine.
the plantings where the fence is
Right.
supposed to be.
But if they wanna eradicate some of the invasives,
That's fine, but what they wanna do is get almost into the wetlands and put mulch down and all kinds, and mow back
But
there.
we just seen this plan, so now we're telling, gee, we don't like your plan. I agree with you. We don't like his new plan. But to do plantings back there is okay. He has to change the plan, put in the fence.
But you gotta bring the plantings closer to the house, to the proper line, is what I'm saying.
Right, if the fence was the dividing line, the fence goes back in. And then the plantings, if we can get rid of invasives,
The plantings go right behind the fence, but that's not what they're proposing.
okay, yeah, but that's something new.
okay.
This proposal we just got.
Just
This is
shows
our
a-
worst-
just shows a new
I'm
plan.
just saying, they have to bring it closer to the
Yeah,
house
and I
where
don't
it
like,
belongs.
I don't like mulch out there either. I agree with you, so.
Okay.
In mowing, I don't
Right.
like either.
All right.
To be continued. All right, well,
Well, but I think that's, you got the
Yeah.
gist of that,
Yeah.
so let them know.
But
I want
unless-
that done as soon as possible, and,
Yeah.
because we're gonna pursue bunga zones as well. We're not gonna have people come in, get permission to build a new piece of property, we condition it, we tell them where it's supposed to
Right,
go,
right.
the thing gets built, and then they go about doing what they wanna do.
right. I think earlier post placement too. At
Right.
least they say, wow, ripping out a post, I wonder what this means. At least they'll have to question something.
Something,
Yeah, so.
okay.
And Ellis put the post back in, I mean, the locations of the post, so Augustona knows where it is now.
Okay.
All right, and we can talk to the landscape, I'd rather talk to the landscaper than,
Well, the thing is, he has to look at the original plan and then do his plantings from there.
Okay.
That's all.
Okay.
You can't go moving.
So,
that line.
have you had, pre-construction at the Glen? I saw they were cutting the
yes,
trees.
yeah, yeah. We were out there a couple of times. We had all sorts of ticks and ended up on medicine, both of us.
Great.
But they've started cutting, we've had a few butters come in to find out what the project was. They had no idea it was duplexes even.
Well,
Yeah.
But
I'm going back.
we did have something else going on out there that someone's trying to reverse the certification of a vernal pool.
Oh, there is a vernal pool in there.
It's right out, it might not be that far up. It's on Clap.
It's very confusing what they say.
So Natural Heritage is saying they're decertifying one, and we're like, where did that come from? So we have to call and find out who asked for a review.
Does that have to do with the Glen?
We don't know, it's off of Clap, you know Clap, if you cut in from Clap, you go toward the back of the Glen.
Well,
Yeah.
the number is flat,
Right.
but their letter says Briarwood Lane. So something.
Wow.
And if this needs to be challenged, we need to find out how to challenge it.
It doesn't say whose property it's on?
Briarwood Lane's off of Van Vinyl Road.
I know.
Right,
But the
but
3110 in our files,
the certified vernal pool number coincides with the Clap Road one.
All right, well, let's find out.
Yeah. You emailed them, right?
I did, but I.
Because if this were Briarwood Lane, that might have more to do with Long Meadow Farm.
So it could be either of those.
Either somebody got the number wrong or the
Right,
street wrong,
right,
but,
Right,
okay?
right.
You know what that is?
Yeah, I've heard about that.
That's on the other side of 3A.
In back of Havilton School, close to the the old St.
Yes.
Francis Church.
You and I went down there, Bungus, Bonomi.
Yes.
We were down there. Remember, he wants to sell? Yeah, well, that could be where it
Oh,
is.
it's going to pull on that way, okay.
All right.
I heard 40B.
Yeah, I did too. Scary.
So, I happened to go into the town of Hanover to pick up a building permit, and I saw this great map of all their open space and their historic sites.
Yeah.
Were you
Yes.
involved in that?
Yes. That was very
And I
nice.
left it on the counter at the
Yeah.
home, but I'm gonna bring it to the next meeting, because
Yeah.
I'm thinking if you're so well versed in that we're
It
gonna.
was- it really it cost a little bit of money, but some of it
We'll find a way.
really
Yeah,
was
what
good
kind of
though.
money? I won't-
All right.
Yeah, I can find out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that would be nice.
That really came out, that's nice.
Yeah, and the selectmen would like that. and
Yeah.
Open space. would
Well, I
like
think
that.
it's a piece that we need to get going on. We've got some more interest. Unfortunately, I had an email that went to a different email account. There's other people afoot to get working on these trails, and after
Yes.
Labor Day, we're gonna hear back from
Yes.
Kim Ryan. We did get like one feedback from somebody that was kind of disappointing.
What pictures you guys all want?
Backyard.
Backyard.
On the water, right on the water.
Good to go? All right,
Come on, great.
so at Peggotty Beach, across from the entrance to Peggotty Beach Road is a small ranch. To the left of that ranch is an open lot. They built a couple of big houses behind that, and they had some material
street.
washed down.
Yes.
So then, the owner of that property used that as an opportunity to go in there and clear and fill.
Yes.
And we gave them orders to remove that fill. I think Mr. Narvito was the engineer.
Yes.
They were supposed to remove the fill that wasn't supposed to be there
Yeah.
and clean up the site. So is
And
there,
then they came back with an order, or a plan showing 8 units of condos or something there.
They didn't come back to us.
Yes,
That's new.
Yeah, so that is maybe what got the abutter to say, have they ever cleaned that up? So,
okay.
and I looked through the files, it goes back a long way and it hasn't been cleaned up,
Oh,
so.
jeez.
So does he need a letter?
Yeah,
Okay.
two of them.
Okay. And it's 2 lots, he bought a lot, combined them or something?
Yeah, and I think
Right.
that was the end run, is that they were hoping to continue to fill that and do something with it. And they got bagged early on.
Okay.
Because it's all wet.
Garden Road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. 261 Gannett was a minor activity permit for 2 trees to come down, hanging over the guy's house. He's in a marsh out the back, more than 50 feet away. He's got about 50 other trees, and I said, yeah, we can do it.
Okay.
So I sent that. CRS, we had a big meeting last night, the annual meeting that helps people in the flood zone get better flood insurance rates, and we're trying to improve the town rating. So we have a new person, Nancy, Durfee, who's really good, so, to be able to spend that amount of time, I think we'll be
Will
able
that
to get better rates.
Give you a break from
Yeah.
some stuff?
Yeah,
Good.
it definitely did.
That's great.
Yeah, we had a meeting last night, it was really.
I got a
good
pile of
meeting.
stuff I
Oh,
want you to
good,
stop.
more new
Yeah.
stuff. I've never seen an agenda with 16 hearings, or whatever, we got 20 hearings.
I think you're just trying for a record. Come on.
Yeah, that's it. Let's see. Toll Brothers and Rad. Chris Lucas and his coworker are going out there tomorrow.
I thought they went out today.
I thought it was Wednesday.
Today is Wednesday.
Today's Wednesday.
They went out
They
today.
went out today.
They went out today. Penny set them up with the addresses of the addresses that came out.
People
that
that had a
day.
concern, sure.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
good.
they go out there. He's going to have the report all done and back to us in time before the meeting on the 3rd.
Okay.
And
Yeah, I'd like to be able to read through that before the meeting, so we're
yes,
ready to go.
I told them we need it ahead of time. And the other
Like
part
not
of that,
email to me the middle of the afternoon of the meeting or something.
right.
No, it's supposed, he said he'd have it back next week.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the other part of that was Josh Bowes is doing the isolated land subject to flooding calculations. He's got to get the money, but he's going to get it to us, same thing, by next week.
Yeah.
Where is that meeting?
It's GAR.
It's gonna be JR again.
Yeah.
Can we change it back?
You know
I-
what?
Is that gonna be like the standard for Coalhouse? It'll be the
The
GR
sound
every time?
is just,
Awful.
Dave Wall City.
it's
it's not your guy's fault.
Yeah. Yeah, you were up in the attic there.
Yeah, you were
But
up.
Dave Ball said he could get a better speakers thing for the,
Why don't we just try it here?
We've already told everybody, all the
Why
abutters.
can't we call a couple people on the list and say spread the word?
I think if you miss, say you missed one person's house, give them the wrong address. and-
What time is the hearing on for?
6:15.
Shoot. Just thinking if we could post a big notice on the door that we've moved it up here.
Can we take these with us, with
No.
portable mic? And there's no, you can't attach?
I don't think so.
Then get wireless mics.
Yeah, is there any
You can get
other
wireless
equipment
mics.
You guys have, or?
Well, the new camera we just got, there's a setting that it absorbs all the sound, but without that, we probably need to, there's no way for it to be wireless, so I would have to be hooked into the sound.
Well, you were using the new thing the last meeting.
It doesn't really, yeah.
That place, the acoustics
It's,
are
yeah, it's
terrible.
more the place than the equipment.
Yeah, exactly.
And these can't leave this room and they're hooked into this.
Yeah.
So there isn't really a.
You can't hear anything that anybody's saying
Well,
in the meeting.
if the meetings are except for that, the other thing I was thinking though, the way that building was designed is really the people that are making a presentation almost ought to be up on the stage facing
Yeah.
the people that are in the, and maybe we'll just shift it around. So we'll keep it
Okay.
there. In the future, if the numbers look like it'll work back here, we'll
Yeah.
just come back
Yeah.
here.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
somebody
So it would've been close.
can,
They
somebody
probably
needs to
could've
come
done
here ahead of time and help Carol bring all her stuff down to the thing.
Okay, Frank.
I hear you. As he's staring at me. Carol,
All right, we good?
I was there and helped set up tables. I didn't see you there.
Anything else?
I think that's it.
Okay.
17 Seventh Ave. 17 Seventh Ave, was that a CSC? We thought that was okay.
What about 17?
17 Seventh Ave.
We just starting to dream stuff up because it's
I know,
almost
what,
not.
come on.
It's
what-
10 and
It's on
9.
there.
Yep.
It's on there somewhere.
Where's Paul Paris when we need him?
Close. Time to
Yeah,
close.
and they were okay.
Say goodbye.
I make a motion to close, to adjourn,
And-
Second.
and to approve that?
and to approve that.
Second, third, fourth, fifth.
All in favor?
Aye,
Aye. Aye, aye.
Okay,
Thank you, ladies.
thank you very much.